on, you're done. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
My wheel man, Cody Lashney, always says this: ain't nothing but to do it. Let's roll.
No, you got that wrong. You messed that up.
Nailed it.
Ain't nothing
to
Say
it.
it again.
But ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll.
Well, guess what the Panthers got to do? They got to make the number one selection in the 2023 draft. The second time in their history that they are actually making the selection. The third time in their history that they had the number one pick. They traded out of it in their inaugural year. And just like in 2011, where they had to pick a franchise quarterback to lead them into a new era, now the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night will have to select their quarterback at number one unless they choose violence and decide to trade back or do something wild like that. Right now, it appears the consensus is Bryce Young. And look, I sound somber, but I'm focused at this point. This is serious shit, folks. We've got to get this right. And tonight we're going to figure it out on the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast on the YouTubes, on the internet. You can follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Check us out on wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to smash the thumbs up button. Be a part of the show. We got a fantastic show tonight. Joe DeLeon from the Believe Network going to join us to talk about maybe some trends. But I don't want to over inundate him with a discussion about the number one pick.
We'll do it anyway.
We will. But I want to ask him about some trends maybe we could see in this draft and what's going to happen at 39. And guys, Brian Burns had a surgery yesterday. And I'm telling you, this is eerily reminiscent of 2014 when Cam Newton had a late offseason surgery that they promised would be ready for the training camp. And now Brian Burns, the star on this team, we're going to be watching that. We've got a lot to talk about. The number's 252-228-5098. We want your thoughts on this. And guess who I love to talk Panthers football with on Tuesday night? My wheelman, Cody Lashney. Hey, I mean, it's close. It's close. I feel like I was excited right before we were getting started. And once the music went and once the countdown went, I was like, the weight of this week just hit me, I think.
This is going to be the last C3 Panthers podcast that we will do, not knowing who the next number one pick in the history of the Carolina Panthers is, baby. It is an exciting time to be a Panthers fan. There's so much to talk about. There's a certain mayonnaise monster being talked about with the number one overall pick. Blah. Dude, make me vomit. Man, there's, as you mentioned, the Brian Burns surgery. We have to discuss the ins and outs. Man, there is so much to get to. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. It's 910 Panther fan, Drew. What's up, Big Al? Blind Panther Vlogs. What's up, Joey? Anthony Picarello. C3 Anthony Picarello. C3 Diesel Skills. Coach Kurt C3. Man, those C3s are rocking strong in the chat. I love it. Cody's Lost Little Bird, a.k.a. White Chocolate Espresso. What an ass. Craig Hartner, Eric 37, Evan Sports Talk, Jorge Marcelo, Low Key, MDJ 365, Mossy Man News, Off Grid, P Dubs, 5 Beta Hitters, Promise Panda, Roosevelt Mongo, Smells Like Blue, The Cardiac Cat 13, The Real AP, Tim Estes, Vol Guy, Right Bets, and the one and only 10 Tizzy. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll. Up, you're muted.
You're right. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We want to get your thoughts. Get them in. What should the Panthers do? And as Anthony Piccirillo said, there's no question about this pick. It is Bryce Young. I don't think we're really at the point of disputing that anymore. Now is the time of you have to have some discussion. You have to talk about the violence that could be if it went different. Oh, my gosh. Secret hope for that. And not because I don't want Bryce Young, but just the drama that would play out would be incredible. But I think now we got to start thinking about what the 39th pick will be, what the Carolina Panthers are going to do, how they're going to deal with this Brian Burns issue, and what will be some trends. CK, I was looking at the draft order, and it has been, I guess, supremely fucked up in a way by Denver and the Browns. There's a couple of teams that have made these trades over the past years where, when I say fucked up, for our discussion, teams that the Panthers play a lot, particularly NFC South, there's not a lot going on in the early part of this draft with any of the teams we play with except for the Atlanta Falcons. And now the question is, will CJ Stroud be their quarterback? Holy cow. CK, the draft is here, but there are more pressing things on your mind than who the next Carolina Panther will be. But who the next Carolina Panther fan will be. Congratulations. Boy, thoughts and prayers are coming. I hope your baby looks like your wife.
You and I both. This week has been all looking up for CK here. Today I just shot my best round of golf I've ever shot.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then tomorrow we induce my wife to bring in to the world our little girl. Who may end up coming on Thursday, which will be an interesting thing to say that she was born the day we got our franchise turned around with a new franchise quarterback. And then on Thursday, we get the franchise, the guy, the quarterback. And if it's Stroud or if it's Young, I'm equally happy about either one of those. I am going for Young at this point in time. I'm ready to see it happen. I'm ready for this next phase of life to be able to have our fandom infused with energy, infused with optimism and hope for the future. Man, it's an incredible time to be a Carolina Panthers fan, man.
CK is a good friend of mine. Let's just start with that. Committed member of the C3 community. And he's even said that he's planning on making an appearance, even if on draft, he wants to be here. We'll see him in some sort of capacity on draft night. Right. And we're hoping that it'll be convenient. Hoping that it's not onerous on him. But we really, I think, need to test his commitment right now. Is there any chance we could get you and really this is putting C3 in the long game for us to get Bryce Young on this podcast? Can we get you to name your daughter Bracia?
No.
Come on, for C3. Bracia.
Are you a fan or what?
I know. You could be. Think about this. What a hero. What a fan. You think somebody who goes and buys the jersey before they've played a snap is a real fan? So imagine if you named your little girl Bracia. Is there another name we could play?
That sounds like a Final Fantasy character, Bracia.
It's not a terrible name, actually, when you think about it.
It's not, no.
And we're going to talk about his celebrity status, his $1 million smile. CK, one name, you all of a sudden you become, you know how they do those fan profiles where they take you, the Panthers did this and they went and looked at somebody's man cave. You could be on the front page of Panthers.com as the greatest Panther fan. You're all in on Bryce Young with Bracia Allen.
Peer pressure.
This would disappear if that were to happen. Listen, I love the Carolina Panthers, but there is one relationship that is more important than the Carolina Panthers to me. Well, maybe two.
Smart.
And that is the one between my wife and me and God. So it's, listen, I am 1000%.
There's no chance we could get her on some anesthesia and
Absolutely
talk
not.
her into Brasia.
How
No,
about
not a-
how about Britina? Like
Not
Clutch
a
Fire
chance.
5.0.
We've already. Let me put this to rest. We've already got a giant wooden sign hanging over top of her, over top of her crib. That's got her name.
Dang it.
So instead of being set in stone, it's set in wood.
Dad, what are you
Set and wood. Look at my man. He's going to have a little sister soon. Welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast.
You got
Bat Daddy, I think you would name your kid after the C3 Panthers podcast. Yeah, hopefully you're not having any more. You got 3
yeah,
like
no,
me? You have 3 or 2?
I got 2.
Two
Doing a lot of
yeah.
animals. I'm not having any more.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys are missing the whole thing though. Like the Brycena thing, I get it, but like, why not just CJ, Charlie Joe, or something like that? You know, name the kid CJ. There you got
gosh.
whole lot
What?
easier to convince the wife.
What would he slip in
that.
would she slip in the draft? Is that what would happen? CJ?
Look, we have 2 days, and I can stop hearing about all this talk. And I'll tell you something. If the Carolina Panthers are coming out right now saying that they've known since it's always been the consensus pick, that means all this crap we've been hearing for weeks is just smoke. All of it's just smoke. So I don't take any heed in people talking about how much they like Bryce better now. I don't hear talk about how much Will Levis is better now. Nothing's changed, and apparently they've made their decision a long time ago. I'll tell you what, though, Tony, the best part about this, and I was talking to you about this before the show, you want me to bring it up and bring it up right now. This is going to be the last time, hopefully, we're drafting the top 10 for a while.
I want the fans to call in at 252-228-5098, and I want you to put your name on it. Tell us when you think the next time the Panthers will be drafting in the top 10. I think the number should be the top 7. I think it's
without
top
trading.
7.
They have to earn that spot.
Without trading, it will be an interesting thing. If Bryce Young is the quarterback, where do you see us 1 year from today? Are we picking 16? And I don't need the exact pick, but is there a chance we do have a top 10 pick next year? And maybe our fan excitement along with the first pick is inflating our expectations. You know, there is a chance that we go 7 and 9 and are kind of sitting back here.
We don't own next year's first round pick. So, yeah. That belongs
right.
to
Okay,
the
so it can't be next
Chicago
year.
Bears.
Right. We would
That
still
is a good
earn a
point.
pick next year, though. We've just traded away. I just mean like when we're going to be in that position.
Oh, that's a
And
good
honestly,
point.
the chat room, this trends happen every week. I put these polls up every week, and Stroud every single week in the chat room is going down. He's at 35% now, 52%.
Oh man, I think
Young.
there's a real question if he's going to be drafted in top
He's going
5.
up. He's going.
I'm interested to see if the Colts pass on him. The
I
numbers
feel bad for him, man. I feel like he's been done
He's going
dirty in recent weeks. And, dude, this whole S2 test thing just pisses me off to the nth degree, man.
We're gonna be
It's
talking
we're not
about
even
that.
talking football no more.
We're going to be talking about that. Don't forget Joe DeLeon coming on at 7:20. Let's go ahead and jump into the show, Cody, and just talk
7:20?
about the.
Is late.
9:20.
I said, thank you. All right. You know what? He's
It's
on
all right.
Pacific time.
That's what we're here for.
Oh, is it 10:20 then? If he's coming on at 7:20.
No, it was 6:20 in the email, but I've been reading
okay.
multiple numbers and I just misspoke. Thank you. I will correct you
welcome.
guys
Sorry.
all forever now.
Do it.
You're welcome, dude.
Not this hard.
That's what we're here
yeah, you've
for.
already. Anyway, let's
Ain't
get
to it nothing
into.
but do it, right?
Yeah, whatever. Shut the fuck up.
I got to start cutting those clips.
Don't.
Play 'em. It's like I'm playing.
I like. Do you like here? What do you guys like about this thumbnail the most? You're gonna say Bryce Young and his stupid Snickers bar.
I like how big the football looks compared to him.
Actually, you
Looks
probably
like- looks like
shouldn't
a-
like
looks
that
like a-
part.
I just think it's
Oh
funny.
my God! Don't
think it's
draft
funny.
him because of that.
How big the
Yes,
football
that's
looks.
a-
I like Frank Reich's hat.
Look how big the Snickers bar looks compared to him.
Oh shit!
Like,
Oh, and by
We
the way,
can't draft him now, dude. That's I'm out. I'm out on Bryce Young. The football is bigger than he is.
the ball to head ratio is all messed
Right.
up here. You know?
He
He's gonna
can't-
look like Kyler
They
Murray
gotta
out there
give him
like
a
a Lego.
regular size Snickers in the commercial. They cannot give him a king size Snicker.
He's
It
gonna
makes
look
his
like a
hands
Lego
look small.
Character out there, and I don't want to talk too much shit about Bryce Young because I
Jeez,
think he's going
that's
to be great.
funny.
He's probably
That
going to
was
be our
great.
guy, but it is funny.
That was great,
Yeah.
Greg.
Yeah. By the way, CK, your boy Spectre with the. I always get confused if this is like Australian dollars or whatnot.
Yeah, it's Australian.
Yeah. It says. CK
I hope their
is
economy is doing better than ours.
Yeah.
He's
And
in-
Anthony.
Is good.
Yeah. Shout out to Spectre. Anthony Picarillo says, "Tell the Horseman about the bet we got going." Yeah, I bet Anthony 25 that Houston would still pick CJ Stroud.
Mm.
I'll probably lose, but they deserve every bad thing that they got coming.
25?
Yeah.
It's a little
Who's
rich.
that, bro? We're picking
Yeah.
Stroud number 1.
Sorry.
Tell me.
But what sticks out to you? Is there something you wanted to mention specifically?
I like the hat. I just like the hat, first of all, that Frank Reich is wearing. Like, I would rock that hat. I wouldn't bend the bill like that. But now I can't stop looking at Bryce Young in this football in the candy bar.
Oh, so
Hi,
Greg
Messed you up.
really,
I was so happy about Thursday, and now. And then I read the slide, the news later in the show that we're going to talk about is Kenny Pickett trying to stretch his hands. Oh, my God. I'm so
You're telling me
nervous now. I
you're
felt so
telling me-
great 2 seconds ago.
Hold on, but you're telling me you knew this guy was 5'10", 5'9", whatever, 9 3/4,
The
whatever.
football doesn't feel that big in my
The
hand.
whole time, and this is what changed your mind? Hey,
Yeah.
whatever you need.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that put it in perspective.
So you're a
All right,
Stroud guy
let's
now?
go.
Yeah,
Guest coming
so,
in just a few minutes.
The first thing up on the docket, Frank Reich did a press conference today. They had group activities today. Frank McCown was out there, or Josh McCown was out there on the field with the quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean, the team was out there, man. We have some pictures and some videos. We got a little bit from Adam Thielen, a little bit from Von Bell, but Frank Reich was also up at the podium and says that GM Scott Fitterer came into his office and asked him yesterday who the pick was at number 1. It was a proposal. I said yes, but they aren't saying who the consensus is. Now, I personally don't buy this for 1 second.
Yeah,
but,
come on.
Yeah,
That's
just
bullshit.
just so that way you hear it from the man himself. This is Frank Reich saying those same words.
Don't lie to me, Frank. It's my middle name. Don't lie to me.
I'm in my office yesterday at some point and asked the question. You know, it's kind of like a proposal, you know. And I said yes. No, there is consensus, and we're excited.
Yeah, I don't believe that just yesterday they're like, by the way, who do you think the pick should be? Well, golly jeepers, Scott. I happen to think it's yeah, right.
By jolly
Yeah.
jeepers.
He is like
I hadn't thought about it until now, but
yeah, you know, that's a
say
pretty
yes.
maybe we should make a decision on that or something. That
Wait,
might
we're
be
picking number 1?
whoa, we better
we're
make a
getting
decision.
married.
Dude, it's like when you're in college and you have a big assignment due and you procrastinate until like 2 days before it's due.
In college,
Yeah.
that's life, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
That's
right.
life for
Called
me.
I don't know why I
laundry.
said
Yeah.
college. That's
It's called
been my,
laundry.
my entire
Um,
school career.
All right, so if this is, I guess, just to kind of try to pierce through some of the things you're talking about, do we buy it? Is that how the story? I think if that was what, I think that was kind of probably the final thing. Like, this is it. If he's talking about the proposal and Scott coming into his office, it's like we've done all of this prep work. We've had 97,000 meetings. We traveled together. We've talked it out. This is what are we on the same page? Like, this is the time to speak up if we're not. So I don't think it was like, hey, I think it's this. And all of a sudden this is out of nowhere. It's like, no more talking. Now we're here. So very interesting. We'll, when it comes to that, I wonder if the consensus is what it should be. Man, I'm telling you, I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
I mean,
I'm nervous.
listen, I'm not really, to be honest, I'm more excited than I am nervous.
Thank
And I've
you.
said- and
Thank
I've
you,
said this
Bryce.
before.
That's what Bryce Young
No,
would
but
say.
listen, I've said this before that I trust our coaching staff. I mean, legit, I do. I'm one of the few people that wouldn't be like completely bent out of shape if we picked Anthony Richardson number one.
Right.
Oh,
I know a
would
bunch
be
of
into it.
I know a
would be
bunch
so
of you would
into it.
freak out, but I trust that this coaching staff is going to be some of the best developers of talent that we've ever had. So I'm not really too much concerned about who the pick is. And like, let's be real, we all know that it's Bryce. Like,
Yeah.
if you think different,
It's
fine.
a wrap.
But like now that we've had so much time to digest it,
Right.
it's like the surprise would be anything other than
I
Bryce
know.
Young
It'd be
at number
violent.
one.
It would be violent.
Yeah, it'd be wild.
So we got more on that coming up in the show. The number's 252-228-5098. I want the callers to call in and tell, would you say yes? Scott Fitterer came in and said, Bryce Young, do you say yes? I feel like depending on what show I'm on, which audience I'm with, there is sort of an echo chamber. We went on 704 Charlotte Bound show last week, had a great time in this battle draft. And I was surprised. Those guys were all echo chamber CJ Stroud, which I was like, man, this is a cool place. I've never been here before. Usually people make fun of me for making this decision. So it's just, I know it's Bryce. But if you are a person who has the guts to say, maybe it shouldn't be Bryce, we'd love to hear your thoughts. 252-228-5098. Let's bring in our guest to preview the 2023 NFL Draft, Joe DeLeon from the Believe Network. He is the host. Hold on, I just had it pulled up too, and now I should have. Joe, good God, I've made 3 errors in tonight's.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Intro.
It's been rough.
Well,
It's
it's a
been
rough week, man. I can't imagine what
I'm
you guys
so
are
tired,
dealing
dude.
with the
So
stress.
tired. Joe, you've been on the podcast several times. Welcome back, man. Thanks for helping us figure out this draft process. Thursday, I know. Are you exhausted already?
I'm definitely getting there. Today was my longest day for guest spots, but like I love this. I'm so excited. This is like a dream come true for me to be talking about the draft as much as I am, and doing all these guest spots and radio appearances. But I'm just excited to see what happens with the Panthers, because I'm hoping it's Bryce. It sounds like it's Bryce, like you guys were talking about.
How long have you been covering the draft where it's been every moment, every prospect? And I want to know this because there's going to be a moment where I'm going to ask you if you are tired of it. Like, because I've been doing this podcast for 10 years. We did the website, we keep this website kind of running. We kind of let it fall off the map for a while, but it was originally a written content site. So much work, so much energy, so much talk. And for the first 4 years, I felt so obligated to look at these picks, think of this. And it just became so exhausting and frustrating because on Thursday night, you've spent 9 billion man hours.
Right.
And maybe 5% will be right.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the grind. And I, being a former player in college, I know I only played at the FCS level, but like you kind of fall in love with watching film. I've only been actually doing the show for 3 years, but this is probably the first big year in a way that we've had as much coverage as my co-host
24 news cycle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And no, I mean, I somehow don't get sick of it. I think that you got to be a special kind of crazy to watch all this film, to be fully invested in paying attention to everything, talking to the prospects, talking to agents, and doing all this stuff. It really is a grind, and just excited to kind of see where things end up coming from it.
All right, host of Believe in NFL Draft Prospects. Thank you for joining us, Joe. My question, because I'm not going to talk about Bryce. I'll let the other guys talk about this. Is this a good draft class? I've heard just as of late that it's not, but I really, some people, I first started hearing some whispers in the defensive tackle. There's like, oh, there's no great, this is kind of thin at defensive tackle. We've kind of been interested in the wide receivers a little bit, and they're all tiny. Is this a good draft class? I feel like it's thin across the board.
It's a pretty thin class, and I think that we've got all this top end talent at the very beginning, where there's really 4 guys that you can get excited about: CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Jalen Carter, and Will Anderson. After we get outside of that, it starts to get very thin. And it's not saying that there's not first round talent. There's a lot of guys that are more likely to go in other classes in the back end of the first round or early on in the second round. I think there's going to be some really good starters in this class, but it's not as top end heavy. It's not as deep at certain position groups, but we've got a lot of really good corners. We've got a lot of really good tight ends. There's some strong tackle prospects throughout this draft. There's a lot of really good edge prospects. There's just some thin spots that, as you said, receiver, we're used to seeing a lot of talented receivers. There really aren't any number one alpha dog guys in this class, which might hurt things for the Carolina Panthers. And there's really not a lot of depth at that defensive tackle position, as you brought up. So to answer that question, yeah, this is really one of the weaker draft classes that we've had over the past couple of years, just partly from the eligibility impacts of what COVID did for some of these guys having 6-7 extra years, or guys leaving early and sitting out.
Were they in last year's draft? Or are they going to be in next year's? Like, why is that? I
think it's just so spaced out. I don't think that they're going to be in any particular draft. And what kind of happened was, I think it was that 2021 draft where the Micah Parsons, Jamar Chase class, where a lot of those guys
sat out,
and then they jumped in, and that wouldn't have normally happened. And then we also now, again, we've got all these guys that have like 6-7 extra years of eligibility that are really spaced out in what draft classes they're in. So that just in general has really screwed up what the timeline for these guys to declare is.
Joe, but we've like Tony alluded to, a lot of people are saying that there's not a lot of blue chippers in this draft. What position did you feel this draft is the deepest at? Because obviously the quarterback for the Panthers gets the most draw and a lot of hype right now, but the Panthers have a lot of different needs. Mm-hmm. We're moving to a 3-4 defense. We could definitely use another edge rusher, especially now that we know Brian Burns just recently had surgery. We could use a true inside linebacker that we've been missing forever. And then some people still want to add another offensive weapon to go with our number one pick quarterback, whether that be like a Jahmyr Gibbs or maybe like a Jalen Hyatt if he falls. Where is the strength in this draft class, and where do you think the Panthers could capitalize sometime in that second or third round?
Yeah, I think where the depth really lies in this class is at defensive end, or edge rusher rather, and a tight end. You can get, I think, a contributing tight end and edge rusher on day 3 in this class. Like, I look at a guy like Nick Hampton from App State, who's an edge rusher who could be a nice rotational piece in a lot of defenses. There's just a lot of really good, nice options that I think you could end up drafting really late. And then people are going to be saying like, wow, how did this guy end up going as late as he did? And then the tight end talent also is fantastic. I think there's going to be a lot of strong contributing tight ends in this class for a lot of NFL teams. And I think there's always that expectation when you draft a tight end that a guy is going to turn out to be like a 700-yard receiver and he's going to catch 7 touchdowns in the red zone. You don't need every tight end on your roster to be that guy. You just need good depth. You need to be able to bring out 2 tight ends and 12 personnel. You need to be able to have different looks, and you need those guys for special teams. So I think definitely tight end and edge is where the strength is.
Nice.
All right. All right. So I'll ask the next one then.
Go ahead.
Wait, is there any concern? I won't say this is look, as we have no choice but to talk about the Panthers ad nauseum, right? Under a microscope. We have no choice but to doubt, to argue, to do all this, like so much. When it comes to Bryce Young, is what everybody's told me is that he's so intelligent, his processing skills, his ability, the intangibles. And you know what? I've watched him speak. Every time he's on the mic, I fall in love. He's hypnotizing. The $1 million smile, watch the pivot. Like, you can't help but think like, oh, I would trust this guy with anything. The one thing that I kind of look at is, I know people talk about the size. He doesn't have a bazooka of an arm. Yeah, and not that I need my quarterback to be able to throw the football through a piece of plywood, but where's the peak for Bryce Young? And are we betting a little bit? Not betting. is there any concern that this is what he will be forever? And it's just like this, you have to win on the intangibles rather than like he'll be significantly better in 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think his ceiling is as high as a guy like Anthony Richardson or even a guy like CJ Stroud for that matter. But that's where I think the desire and the attraction for specifically the Panthers to take somebody like Bryce Young, just because he's not going to turn into some freakishly dominant athlete like Anthony Richardson doesn't mean that he's not valuable. At the quarterback position, I want guys that make decisions and make the right decisions, as you're talking about. The intelligence is so evident on film. It is so obvious that this guy thinks quickly, effectively, makes the right decisions, gets the ball quicker than anybody in this class, rarely makes mistakes. He also has great pocket awareness. All those things are so huge for success in the NFL. Oftentimes we get too excited over guys like Will Levis, who big arm, big frame, but makes really dumb, boneheaded decisions all the time. I'd much rather have a guy like Bryce Young, who maybe is a little bit more undersized, that has that mental processing ability. The concern for a guy that's that short is that he gets a lot of balls batted down. He has one of the least amount of balls batted down over the past couple of years. He's not a guy that deals with that issue. He's also got great ability to maneuver in the pocket. He's a good athlete. It's not like we're talking about Drew Brees, who was a lesser athlete than Bryce Young. I think the ceiling is very high. You put the weapons around him, and I think that this Panthers offense can succeed very early, and there's no reason why, with Bryce as the quarterback, that they can't be winning the NFC South within the next 2 years.
It seems like a bet now prospect too, which I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
One of the things, again, I hate the draft, all of the hyper analysis. It's exhausting. A lot of energy. Let me just tell me who we get. But in the past past years, I've heard draft analysts, when they're talking about quarterbacks, say this: he can make all the throws. That's a saying I've heard a lot of times. Can Bryce Young make all the throws?
Yeah, I think that he can make almost all of them. You're not going to ask him to make a lot of the deep shots that Will Levis and Anthony
or like
Richardson
drive in the hash mark. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a film junkie.
Yeah.
But like that's what people always tell me is like, oh, one of the things is he can make any throw you need him. Can he at the very
Can he
minimum?
throw a 20-yard out from the opposite hash?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. His arm's not as big as these other guys, but to that point, it's not like he's operating with
as long as he can do it.
Yes.
As long as he can physically do it, that is okay with me. It doesn't have to be the best person in every throw, but the limitation. Go ahead, guys.
Can I comment on or ask a question about something you said a moment ago, Joe? You were talking about like Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, how it seems they clearly have a higher ceiling and that one day they could be like the dominant player in the NFL. And you don't necessarily have to go for that. But if you have that available, why would you not want to go for somebody who's going to be in those? Because my concern with Bryce Young is his size. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. But we did an interview with Coach David Geddes a couple weeks ago, and I asked him what the biggest change from college to the pros was. And he said how fast it was and how hard they hit. He said it blew him away, the difference. Now, when I watch Bryce Young play, he's playing for Alabama. He's got a great offensive line. But he's not playing against the best.
I wouldn't say
every
great.
time.
Yeah, his offensive line this last year was actually one of the worst he's had. He actually struck. I would actually implore anyone to watch the LSU tape. Like he got killed in that game, and he still hung in there.
Right.
But I understand your point, though. He did have some help around him.
Yeah, and what I'm more or less meaning with that is like 10% of players who play in college might go to the NFL. So you're not going to see that level of player in the NFL. Everybody's going to be a top level player compared to what you're used to. So I worry about that and being so small with injury too. You know, a 350-pound guy falling on a guy who's 5'10", 195 pounds is way different than 6'3", 225. That's my only concern with it. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I think that his being as light as he is, that is understandable. Being a slight framed is understandable, but he can add more weight. He came in at 205 at the combine, which was clearly water weight, but I don't see a reason why he can't be as thick as what Kyler Murray is. Kyler Murray has a pretty thick build, and the only injury he's really suffered is an ACL injury from a non-contact movement.
Yeah.
that is what he suffered. So
Probably
I think
happened at Bank of America, given our field.
He actually
But-
ties Kyler Murray for the shortest quarterback in the first round, but
right.
ever. Yeah.
Right. And I understand those issues, but if you add a little bit more bulk to his frame, he's got the room for him to do so. So
Yeah.
I think he can do it. And again, I totally understand those concerns. And I will add an extra layer for CJ Stroud just to like kind of build off of the point that you brought up. I think CJ is very not like MVP level capable. I don't think he's ever
Okay.
going to get there. I think he's more Jared Goff than he is anything, which is slightly above average. But
Okay.
Anthony Richardson, absolutely. If he hits, that guy is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. There's no reason why he can't be as good as Josh Allen, if not better. But
He's a
it's
draft
big if.
guru's dream.
Exactly.
Think about that is Anthony Richardson is the reason podcasts like we exist, is the hope of a unicorn in the future. Like,
Well, but
because if
also-
you nail it, the people that said
Oh,
that
yeah.
about Josh Allen, which Cody was
that's what I
one
was
of
about
them.
to say. If you look at recent history, but if someone was labeled with the term project, that used to be a bad thing. But in very recent history, we do look at guys like like Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. They also had that project label slapped onto them, and they
So
paid
did Trey
off.
Lance, who just is getting shopped
but
right now. Zach
again, though,
Wilson.
you have
same
seen a
thing.
higher hit rate on these guys that had that project
come on.
label put on them.
It's trends. A
Would
lot
you
of
agree with
trends.
that, Joe? Do you think now the NFL has a higher propensity to say, yeah, we can take this high upside guy and kind of, give him a fresh coat of polish and maybe we can turn him into something?
I think yes and no, because there's a lot of negative examples as well. And I'm also not totally out on Trey Lance just yet because he's played like so few games. But
Same.
Zach Wilson's a really good example of somebody who's just clearly didn't hit, but maybe he somehow figures it out after sitting a year or two after sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. But I do agree with that sense where the style of quarterback that was sought after was much more statuesque, was just a big body who stood in the pocket and was asked to stand there and take on pressure and hits and to handle, whatever was coming at him. And I think now you're looking for that Josh Allen, Mahomes, Joe Burrow type that's got a good arm, a good decision maker, that can move and operate in the pocket. I just think it's a lot harder these days to find what used to work in the past. And our understanding and definition of a good quarterback is just changed so much. But again, I'm willing to take that shot on Anthony Richardson. He just hasn't played enough games. You gotta give him some time. And again, every draft nerd's dream is Anthony Richardson.
I have a type, Joe. Turns out is people joked on me on this podcast for I love Cam Newton so much. Like he's so important in my life in this podcast. People they make fun of me up here and they call me a cam sexual. And I've learned to have a type, and it's these super athletic quarterbacks. I'm gonna go watch a bunch of YouTube videos later after this show because of it. Cam Newton. If Anthony Richardson hits, I will be a fan, and I hope. I know he's not going to be a Panther, guys, but boy, I'm going to be cheering for him secretly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, I want to pivot this discussion, and we'll get to some of the non-quarterback stuff, but we have to talk about CJ Stroud and this damn S2 test, man. And I have a real problem with this, and I want to know your opinion because it seems like now the NFL, or at least certain NFL teams, it's rumored that the Panthers are one of them. They put so much stock into this S2 test, this cognitive S2 test. Well, if you believe the rumors and the leaks, apparently CJ Stroud scored an 18 on this test, which is abysmal. Apparently no other quarterback scored below a 40% on the test.
Oof.
And again, this has been kind of called into question on the legitimacy of these numbers. But do you think that too much importance is being put on this S2 test? Or does this signal to you to be a real red flag that if CJ Stroud does have those kind of numbers on this test, that should tell NFL teams, stay away, do not draft?
I think those test scores are less of an indication of the low ones impacting a player and more so the guys with the really good numbers showing positive results. And like Bryce tested as the best number. Like that to me is more telling than CJ not being able to succeed because he did poorly. I'm also
But
not
it is a
surprised.
puzzling score, though.
Oh, it's bad, but I'm also not
Mhm.
surprised because if you watch CJ Stroud after that first read doesn't open up, it's like the dial-up noise is going on in his head. He is one of the worst at making decisions out of this group of top 4 quarterbacks that he just doesn't know what to do with the football. And some people say that it's an overcalculation thing, and I don't know if that's really the case. I think he legitimately just doesn't think quick enough. And I think it comes down to this. This test is a good example of that. And so I saw somebody pop up the question. No one's been able to explain the difference. That's the difference between him and Bryce is that Bryce is a playmaker. He's a gamer. He finds his playmaker.
They're sitting ahead of the play rather. So as you know, like it might not be improvisation as much as it is like quick.
It's quick thinking.
Mental
you got to think
reaction. Like, yeah. And so fast. I was wondering, when it comes to Bryce Young and as well as these guys, a lot of them, I thought that CJ throws a ball with anticipation. I like his tape, but I don't watch enough. I really don't, like I said, get into it. But with Cam Newton, who I love, again, Cam sexual here, he had to see the player open a little bit, right? Like the receiver is like, he had such a bazooka, such a cannon, that he would wait for the guy to get open and then rifle it to him. Mm-hmm. And it seems like some of these next level quarterbacks, and I never say anything bad about Cam, but that it's just like they see it before it's actually happening. And maybe is that what you guys are pitching to us about Bryce Young? Is he that good? Is it that transcendent of a mental twitch?
Yeah, I think it's rare. Like you just don't see a lot of guys at this level already with that quick decision making, that reactiveness. And like I think the only other guy I can think of in the last 5 years that fits that is what Joe Burrow was able to do. And we see that right now. And again, it's kind of like a weird way to describe it, but I just see it as a guy that's a gamer. He just always naturally knows what to do with the football, and he always finds his guys. So that's really important to me.
Is he a point guard? Is he the Steph Curry?
Yeah,
that's what people try to tell us. Is he going to change the game like Pat Mahomes did?
I don't know if he's going to change the game because we're never going to get somebody built like Bryce ever again, but he's going to be
if he succeeds, he would, right? Like
well, they might be smaller. Maybe he opens up the door.
Yeah.
Maybe he opens up the door for the short quarterbacks. Maybe there's a smaller.
I can't go lower than 5'10". I doubt it. Yeah. Derek King,
quarterback.
So, Joe, I wanted to ask a follow-up question. So, again, okay, and I respect your opinion. I respectfully disagree about the coming off the second read part. He might not be the best, but I don't know if you could be at 70%. Yeah, Stroud. I don't know if you could be a 70% completion percentage guy, not ever fully being able to come off of your second read. Do you feel like this is something that you put the blame on the Ohio State offense? Or, a lot of people don't like quarterbacks that come out of that Ryan Day offense. Or do you see a problem specifically with CJ Stroud himself? Like, could Justin Fields do something on that field that CJ Stroud couldn't do?
Well, Justin Fields is the slightly better athlete. He's a great runner, and we've seen that so far. And he survived long enough because he's such a good athlete. But to the point on the offense, I think his completion percentage is so high because of who he was throwing to. He's throwing to Samson Ibuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. this past year. And before that, he had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith and Jigba. These are all first-round receivers. So, one, that makes your job easier. But this
2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Offense is a really well orchestrated offense that is a one read and go offense. And that's why sometimes his throws, it looks like, oh, he's quick to get the ball out. He's quick to make this decision. He's finding his guys in stride and he has this nice anticipation on his throws. But when those plays are well covered, and I think the Michigan game is a perfect example of where he really struggled, where he just held the ball, took sacks, made mistakes. A game like that is concern for me because that's the hardest opponent you're going to play. And that's a lot of NFL talent that you're going up against. Now, the Georgia game is a great game, and that's the best team that he faced. And that's a positive to get. I just don't know which one I'm going to get consistently. And I think you're hoping that's what the projection is. The upside is you get that Georgia game film on a week-to-week basis. But the floor is you get the Michigan game film and he struggles and he has a lot of problems. And, Jared Goff is my comp for him. It's taken him like 5-6 years to get fully comfortable now where he's playing really well. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen for CJ.
Okay.
If you're the number one pick, you were either a massive success or a massive failure, right? There's I think Jared Goff is the great example of that, the exemplifier of that. CJ Stroud was at the fight, Cody.
Which one?
The tank. Tank and what was it? Richie Garcia or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Ryan.
Yeah, he's all right.
I didn't know that.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was just going to say, just to kind of get away from the big three, the quarterback talk here, I had one question I wanted to ask you, and this is something that's always kind of gotten me, and I have an example I'll give you for it. I feel like placement of players has a lot to do with success of players. And when I say that, I mean where you get drafted. Like, I think that if Patrick Mahomes goes to the Jets, he's not Patrick Mahomes, not the same Patrick Mahomes. I think that if Cam Newton in 2011 goes to the Cowboys with that offensive line they had, he's the different Cam Newton. I just feel like the placement of where you get drafted has a lot to do with the player's success. So with Carolina having the number one pick and us assuming that we're going to pick Bryce Young, is Carolina, you think, well, this is going back to Bryce Young, I'm sorry, but like just any quarterback, let's just not say quarterback. Do you think that Carolina has the potential to pick the best player for their position is what I mean, I guess. That's a weird thing to say. I worded that weird. I'm sorry.
No, it's a great question, though.
Yeah. Placement is more or less what I'm talking. Let's talk about placement.
Yeah, I think the situation is so integral for a quarterback's success. And I think it's something that, frankly, we don't talk about enough. A lot of times we just sit here I see a lot of draft analysts that do this where they're just like, let's put this guy here and that guy there. And they don't really think about one scheme, but also most importantly, patience for success. I think that Bryce, the situation of him going to Carolina is the right situation for him to go to, because your guy's offensive line, it does need maybe a piece or two to really bolster it. But I think that with Ike Mekwonu that you drafted last year, he's a very positive young player. You've got so many talented defensive players. You got to figure out these offensive weapons to help Bryce. But that is a win now team that I think a lot of more people are willing to acknowledge. And I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but I don't see a reason why this team can't be winning the NFC South by next year, especially with how down the rest of these teams are on talent. I really compare this to the circumstance of Trevor Lawrence stepping in with the Jaguars, struggling his first year, kind of getting his feet underneath him, not having a good offensive line, not having good weapons. They spend all this money. Doug Peterson comes in, they get all these receivers, and they hit the ground running. They hit full stride at the end of the season. They make it to the playoffs. They upset the Chargers. I really believe that the Panthers have that capability, which is why I think he specifically is the best for this situation. Anthony Richardson is not good for this situation because you traded up with that anticipation, that short window of we want to be winning in the next couple of years. You want to be setting yourself up for almost in a way short-term success and then eventual long-term success. So I don't want to bring the project into this spot. I want to bring in a guy that's going to set me up to win as soon as possible, which is why I'm a big advocate for Bryce Young here. And if they don't go Young, I would go CJ Stroud before I would touch any of the other guys.
Oh my! All right, so
sadly,
I wrote a story for CarolinaCatChronicles.com about this, and that is the pressure on this number 1 pick for the Carolina Panthers is more than it was the last time they had the number 1 pick when they selected Cam Newton in 2011. Lockout year, the team was 2-14. They were terrible, and Cam Newton was the superhero that could give you a spark. But what you're talking about, Joe, is that there is already, and as someone who's if you kind of have that potential expectation of what the Panthers could be as an outsider, think about what Carolina fans think when you bring in this coaching staff that we have hyped up as this superhero group. We bring in this guy. I think with Bryce Young, the expectation to win and win now is so heavy, more so than it was with Cam Newton, I would say. And I would say if we picked any other of the guys, if we picked Anthony Richardson, who I secretly want, we would give them more grace. Bryce Young is going to have to come in here and be a winning quarterback. I think that's the expectation. I think is that Panther fans are so hype on the team that next year people are talking about what is it, 9-8? I think that's what people are talking about right away.
My only one thing is I don't totally know. Like, would you guys give Anthony Richardson that much more room to fail? Like, I
think so. I think it's because he's it's going to be about next year. It's going to be about next year. And I don't know if the Panthers are really as good as they think they are.
What if it takes them? It's not going to be like a 2-year thing for Anthony Richardson. It might take like 4 or 5 years for him to like really figure it out. So like, are you guys going to be that patient and willing to do that after getting
4 years? No team in the league is going to be 4 years.
But hold on, could I play devil's advocate to that a little bit?
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, if you look at Anthony Richardson's film, I understand 53.8 completion percentage, but he also had a ton of drops on film.
Yes.
And if you factor that into the equation, he scored well on the S2 test, and Florida did not have a lot of foundational pieces around Anthony Richardson. If you look at what the Panthers have, it's not outside the realm of possibility that this is going to be the best situation that he's ever stepped into with a tremendous coaching staff. So, we don't think
they're picking
we don't think that they're going to pick him, but I would not be upset because I trust that this staff would be able to maximize his potential.
I wouldn't be upset about drafting Anthony Richardson, but I would be at number 1. I'd be upset they traded number 1 to draft for him. That would upset me, but I would be behind him. I think he'd be going to be a quarterback, but
I just also part of it, like, look how quickly everyone's given up on Justin Fields. Like, there are some people who are saying that like he's not the guy and they're going to trade him at the beginning of the draft cycle. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Richardson. I put out my big board today. He is a top 10 prospect on my board because of his ceiling. If he might be ready in 2 years. It's possible. He might be ready soon, but if he takes a long time to develop, I just don't know if that really fits the needs of what's currently happening with the Carolina Panthers. He's much better suited. I think the best destination would be if he goes to Seattle, Anthony.
That's what I think is going to happen. That's exactly where I think he's going.
But I think the Colts are probably going to take him. I really do. At 4, I think they're going to take him because
Stroud. They're taking Stroud.
We'll have to see what happens.
Let's move on to the back end because I've been tying Joe up with all these crazy questions. What's next on the docket, Cody, about this draft? 39th, right?
We're picking 39th. And I sort of asked you earlier, about what the strength of the draft is. Is there a
edge rushers? I want to hear about that.
But how about this? Is there a hidden rusher, or not a rusher, just a hidden gem rather, that you think could be available for the Carolina Panthers in the second round? Or and maybe not even a climber, maybe someone who was a first round pick who maybe kind of falls a little bit to
Like
that,
you're hoping he's there. Come on,
to
give
that,
us our best pick at 39.
to that early second round. Do you have any players that you would like to spotlight?
Yeah, I think two specifically. Will McDonald, the fourth. I don't know why I always get caught up on what name he has, but Will McDonald from Iowa State is very bendy, very explosive edge rusher. He might go in the back end of the first round. He also might slip out and be there at the top of the second, which is very talented edge rusher. I think that would be nicely paired with Brian Burns. And then a guy who's more of a defensive tackle than an edge rusher, but Adeola Boire, who lit up the combine. Some people think he might go in the end of the first round. It's certainly possible, but I don't think he makes it outside of the top 10 of the second round. But both of those guys could be really highly impactful pros. And frankly, if either of them are on the board, I'm running up to the podium if I'm the Carolina Panthers, and I'm taking either of those guys.
Are there any offensive linemen in the third? When is our last pick, Cody? It's kind of early. What is it, the 5th?
Yeah.
Like,
We don't have a seventh round pick, right?
I feel like we should, every year, my draft advice to any team is to select an offensive lineman somewhere in the first 3 rounds. Maybe one year it's in the first round, but investing in that continuously in the depth is, we were doing a mock draft, which I also hate. And there weren't a lot of names there. And I don't study it, but I was like, it was just a couple of centers. Where are the guards at? Are there any guys that are actually good depth players that we should be looking at maybe on the offensive line?
There's not a lot of good guards. This is probably the worst position group is guard, but Osiris Torrance is going to be there in the second round.
What about deeper? Maybe third.
Steve Avila is one to pay attention to from TCU, can play center or guard. One who is, I think, an interesting name is Braden Daniels from Utah, who played tackle this past year for Utah. A leaner player, moves really well. I think he can bump inside to guard or maybe even center. Could be a developmental guy. I also think Jackson Kirkland from Washington's also a quality football player. I had him graded as one of my higher graded guards, but he's more of a 4th, 5th round pick if we were to properly project him. But those would be the ones I would highlight as possible options for the Panthers.
So I'm a Clemson fan, Joe, and I was just reading an article today about how certain NFL scouts feel like there is almost like a curse on Clemson defensive players, that they're coming to the NFL and they don't work out. My question to you is, do you have a certain opinion on 2 specific players, Brian Bryce, and I'm blanking on one of my
Miles
own.
Murphy?
Yeah, Miles Murphy.
Oh, no.
Miles Murphy. Do you have an opinion on those 2? And do you think that they might potentially see a little bit of a fall?
I don't think Miles Murphy does. And I think both those guys actually do fit that curse description where highly recruited kids, really talented, everything makes sense, great athleticism, but they don't always produce. They don't produce as much as I think we'd like for, but I think Miles Murphy is going to be a top 20 pick. Again, explosive player, good pass rush skill set that he brings to the position, explosive, not as disruptive as I'd like. And I think there's other guys that are more disruptive than him that are going to go before him, but still a first round pick. Brian Brzee might slide into the second round. I've seen some people saying that, but I don't get the hate for Brian Brzee. I think he's actually better than Miles Murphy, in my opinion, former top recruit in his class. Great anchor, strong player, and then could play from a 1 all the way out to a 9. The guy plays all over defensive line for Clemson. So I like both those guys. Probably more as first round picks, but they could slide. There is a possibility that has been brought up with both of them for them both sliding.
Say you had to write an article on Friday, and you were trying to hope for a storyline. Like if you could say, this is what if I could write any article on Friday morning about this draft, this would be what it is. You know, a couple of years, it was that John Ross draft where it was like strangely every wide receiver went so early. It's just like, and that was what all the articles are about. What's the one storyline you want to follow or hope happens in this draft and reflecting back at it?
I think the biggest is, man, I know that we talk so much about Anthony Richardson. It's just like what happens with this guy's career. I am again, as a draft nerd, I'm just enamored with the kid. I think that if you can figure him out and you can really set him in a position to develop and nourish, and
He's a Madden
good.
character.
He is. He really is.
It's like if you created a player on Madden, that's what he is.
Yeah, and that's why I'm excited about him. And I think like if we were looking back in a couple of years and say, wow, he was really the third or fourth quarterback taken. Why didn't we take him earlier?
That's
and
wild.
It's crazy.
That makes me want to. I told you, Cody, I had to type.
I know,
right,
I'm contradicting myself.
Joe, you've been fantastic tonight. Tell them where they can find your work. Thank you for being so gracious with your time.
Yeah, you can find me at Joe DeLeon on Twitter, and then at the First Team Pod is where you can catch all the draft content for Believe, and then Believe Network is where you can find my content as well as lots of other great content on our network. Really appreciate you guys having me on. It was great chatting up and getting caught up, and I'm sure I'll be on again soon.
I'm going to email you about hopefully leaving a message about the draft some point, or popping in just for 4 or 5 minutes on our draft party Thursday. We have a live draft party with the 10th one we've done. So I'll email you after this. We like to do quick hitters in that draft. Thank you for your time, man. I know we stretched it.
No worries. It's all good. I'm excited about the draft. So you're not.
Wonderful. All right. We're going to catch up with you later. Cody.
Later.
Holy cow. The draft is just days away. Just days away. And I don't know, every time we talk about these things and we dive into them, right? We have these very thoughtful conversations. They're so fun in the moment. And then I have this anxiety that comes over me afterwards.
Yeah.
There's an anxiety about this moment.
Yeah.
Because you can go back and look at moments where teams have gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, is that what if, and I hope, look, is that what Bryce Young has to be is Patrick Mahomes? Right? Yeah. Is that kind of like
Joe Burrow or Joe Burrow?
Okay,
I mean,
you're talking about play style is yes. All right. Well, so what if both?
No, not even the play style.
Trevor Lawrence.
What they're able to accomplish in a short amount of time. And Joe Burrow,
Super Bowl appearance.
How about this? Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl. He was drafted number 1. Hold on. Trevor Lawrence went to the playoffs last year in his second year. Also drafted number 1. Well, I mean, but what I'm saying is if you're picking a quarterback number 1, it is a reasonable expectation now that at least by the second year, your team should be a bona fide contender.
I'm okay with that.
Trying to make a jump like a
was Burrow year
contender.
3? Was Burrow year 3?
Yeah, but he was injured 1 year, wasn't he?
Well, he was injured year 1.
Injury.
He was injured, yeah. Towards ACL.
That was his first year.
Yeah, and then year 2, they drafted Jamar Chase and they went to the fucking Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying, though, is Bryce Young, for me, that's what at number 1 the expectation is. And you're talking about Burrow. I said this. What is it, Patrick Mahomes? I gave you the best answer, and you're like, oh, no, it's Joe Burrow. And that's like this much littler.
Well, right, but the reason
like this much lower. You know, it's like what
we're talking about number 1 overall pick.
Right. The expectation, like you said, and what is success? I saw somebody put up a poll on Twitter about this, and it was too many answers, and I couldn't. Again, I needed a Xanax when it was over. But it was like, would you rather make the playoffs for the next 4 years, have 1 Super Bowl appearance? Like, what do you expect? Should the Panthers have 10 plus wins? Is that a success to you? It was a very complicated question. Is the success for Bryce Young a Super Bowl appearance? I don't know, man. Is that if Bryce, we take that, like, what is the, I think this is people call Cam Newton's career a failure. And he was offensive. He was rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. He was MVP and he made it to a Super Bowl. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but now you're already deeming that, which I feel like he is the measuring stick for every person now who ever plays quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. If you want to talk junk about Cam Newton, we have to have somebody else that will do better. And so right now, my expectation for whoever this quarter, Bryce Young, is offensive rookie of the year. And we need to be in the Super Bowl in 5 years. And he needs to be MVP. because that's who my favorite person in the world. That's what he did.
Tony, I understand you comparing him to Cam, but it needs to be sooner for me. It needs to
Comparing
be
a 5'10"
sooner.
guy to Cam.
It
Yeah.
needs to be sooner, and that's
Wow.
what.
But you wouldn't say that for Anthony Richardson, though. We would give him more time, right? We would,
Right, but-
and that's
well,
fine.
I mean, but no, I wouldn't, because this is the deal. If you're going to draft a player at number 1 overall, I want to compare you to other number 1 picks. Hey, say what you want about Jared Goff. That dude was in a Super Bowl with the Rams.
Well, he didn't. He wasn't MVP, and he wasn't offensive.
but I'm not- dude,
Cam had a
MVP
more
doesn't mean-
successful
But
career than
MVP
Jared
doesn't
Goff
mean
did.
shit to me, man.
Why?
Okay, only
Best
last
season
year.
in the whole league.
Patrick, it doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes was the first quarterback since the 90s last season to win an MVP and win the Super Bowl. Normally, there was a curse. If you
That's
win the
just a
MVP,
curse
you're
thing.
not going to win the Super. My only point is that if you're drafting a player number 1, those number 1 picks at quarterbacks should be able to turn your team around and make them a legitimate Super Bowl contender in a very short order. And that's what I'm comparing them against. If you're drafting them number 1.
Look, my bar is next year, 10 wins. The season after that, we need to be contenders. Like we need to
Is
be
that number the same for each quarterback? So
each
say this,
quarterback.
Greg.
Whoever we
So
draft
if we
number
draft Bryce Young number
Yep.
1, you say it's 10 wins. That's success for you. Is it the
for year
same for
one, yes, that's
Richardson,
success. Mhm.
Levis, pick whoever name a substitute? That's the bar.
If that's the guy they pick as number 1, then that's what I expect out of the number 1 pick, number 1 quarterback pick.
CK,
10 wins next year.
If we draft Bryce Young, I don't know if 10 is my number, like Greg said, but it is kind of that 8, 9-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like
I want
anything,
double digits, baby.
like I think 10 is like we're talking 9 wins. I'm 8. That's
Do you
my
know how nice
you
it is to
sold
write
it.
double digits in that win column? I haven't got to do that. in a
Well,
long
no,
time.
duh. We haven't
Yeah.
seen that forever. But CK, if it was Anthony Richardson, just say the Panthers had the nuts to make that pick. I would say it's 8 or 9 for Young and 6 and 7 for Richardson. And I know that might not be, but that's what you're selling to me with Bryce, right? Is the immediacy of success.
I mean, that's always been the thing with Bryce is going to be the safer pick. I don't think there's many people out there that are going to argue with that. Bryce Young is not going to, I think he has the potential to come out and do incredible things. But I think right now, if you're looking to win now, Bryce Young still is going to be that guy. I was talking with somebody today. I said Bryce Young is going to consistently be in the conversation of top 15 quarterback in the league. I want to see him.
He's going to have to be. If he's not, he's going to have to be
on that.
I'm with Cody. I feel like this is what you guys have told me about him is the intangibles, the specialness. You've sold me his greatness. I'm all in. I've drank the Kool-Aid on Bryce Young's greatness. So, like, if this is a weak division, I expect to win it. If the NFC is weak, they don't have great quarterbacks, which is true, right? Name all the great quarterbacks in the NFC. They're all in the AFC. I'm talking 2 and 3 years from now. You told me Bryce Young was the truth. We're going to be in the Super Bowl. Like, that is, I don't want to be unfair to him. I think the expectations, because we made him the smart dude, is now and forever. And the other guys, there's kind of more hope involved with them.
I disagree. I think that the other guys have just as much pressure. The pressure for Bryce Young is always going to be win now, right? That's always going to be the thing that is the biggest issue for him. I think the Anthony Richardson is going to get the benefit of not, are we going to give him 2 years to get started? But if we're taking him number 1, any quarterback, I think Bryce
comes
Young
with
is
the win now. Okay. There's only so much patience. I understand that.
The only person I think capable right now of satiating the impatience that we're going to have is going to be Bryce Young.
Yeah.
So I want to speak to that, CK. One of my fears, and I guess not a fear is the right word, but a worry, is that the narrative around Bryce is so much that, hey, you're going to be able to draft this guy, and he's going to be able to come in and produce.
Right. The expectations are too high. That's what I'm worried about.
unfair expectations on this quarterback who's 5'10",
Right.
195
We should
pounds,
call Atlas.
soaking
Atlas,
wet.
the little guy lifting up the world. How can
Yeah,
we
like,
make a Bryce
we're
Young
expecting
Atlas
him-
t-shirt?
Dude, we're expecting him to be our Panther savior and sell ice cream at the same time, dude.
But
And maybe
No, Snickers.
we don't know how that's gonna
Yeah,
work.
big
man.
Snickers. Look, now you're asking two different questions, though, and I was going to ask about this when we were going into it. Are we asking the question of what do we expect if we draft a quarterback in the number one position, or what do we expect out of said quarterback if they go number one? Because those are two different questions.
That's my point, Greg.
Those are-
Kind
that's
of
what I'm
both.
saying.
I think
That's why, for me, I expect the same
more
thing
out of
anybody that
Bryce
drafts.
Young. Like, I think he is
Take him number one.
gonna.
I expect
He's
this.
gonna need to be the savior. That's what
think
they've
whoever they
pitched
draft
him
number one,
as.
Whoever they draft number one, they think is that guy. So I feel
Right.
like whoever is number one should hold the same standards.
Cody,
If you
I
draft
think
a
Frank
quarterback
Reich
number one,
is.
it should do this.
I think Frank Reich is John the Baptist, and Bryce Young is the Jesus of the Panthers story. We need this
You hope.
yeah, that's what it's like. This unassuming person who walks around and is just like the coolest dude in the world. He never done nobody wrong. And then you have John the Baptist, who obviously he was like, this dude's the truth early on. We are. I'm nervous about the expectations of Bryce Young.
Yeah, you should.
I think it's unfair to him, but you know who's going to lay him on thicker than anybody? Me. Because that's what you pitched me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
yeah,
you
I mean,
pitched
that's
me.
what everyone's saying. Hey, by the way, we have to give a freaking fantastic shout out
Please,
to our
thank
boy P Dubs, man.
Mm.
P Dubs is a man with the $20 love bomb. He says, "Yo, C3 land, ice up, hit the like button, maybe even come off the hip with some financial love. The boys have been crushing the most important offseason in franchise history, from
That's
the new
the truth.
coaching regime to the number one pick. Keep pounding, P Dubs. You are the man, brother. We appreciate you." Kevin, I'm not even saying this dumb little fucking name you have here. Joe, the Panthers' second Clemson player this year. He's being a fucking
He said,
troll.
look at
What
it,
an
thumbnail.
asshole, dude.
He tried to make you the kid from Dumb and Dumber with the pretty bird.
Dude, he's such a
He
dick.
melded you and Joey the Blind Panther together. And
No, he better go to bed. He's heading to the draft. He has a flight to catch,
Yeah.
I believe,
He's
tomorrow.
not flying out till Thursday, he told me. He's going to be showing up there hot. He's going to be coming in hot, drunk off the airplane.
But by the way, this kind of leads into what we were talking about. Bryce Young, when you look at the ESPN Next Gen stats, when you factor in all the mitigating factors, Bryce Young is the highest rated quarterback in this year's draft with the number 92. According to the NGS draft model, Bryce Young has a 50% chance of making a Pro Bowl in his first 3 seasons.
So much pressure.
The only quarterback prospects with a higher Pro Bowl probability over the last 20 years were Andrew
Lawrence.
Luck
Oh.
and Robert Griffin III.
Not even Trevor, CK. Not
yeah,
even
he has
Cody's
a more
beloved.
percentage than Trevor and Kyler Murray.
That's insane, dude.
Do we,
on
do
one
we believe
hand-
this
on
list?
one
It's
hand-
like, who was the first round? When was the last? So Joe, I guess nobody thought Joe Burrow would make a Pro Bowl, right? Because
No,
he's coming
not-
into a crappy team. Who
Right.
was the last player? This is an interesting question. I wonder where Bryce Young would fit if there were hotter prospects in the group.
I don't know.
You know, it's like, where would he fit in the? If you put in a couple of, is this a weak quarter? I don't know. Gosh, there's so much pressure. I need to
Can I ask you a question, Cody?
Yeah.
Can you go back to that last slide?
Yep.
Because I got to ask this, and like this is what everybody's going crazy about, this top overall draft score, right? Bryce Young's number 1. They put him up top. If Hendon Hooker's number 2, if this is so important, and Hendon Hooker's number 2, why is nobody talking about Hendon Hooker?
They are.
Anywhere close to 1, 2, or 3.
Greg.
If we put so much draft, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's so important, why is he number 2 and nobody's talking about him? I'm not
Coming off of an ACL tear.
And why is he number 2?
Because it's
And
anecdotal.
he's older
right?
than Jordan
Actually,
Love.
didn't that hurt his score? shouldn't his score be less than because he's old and
Right.
He also came from a spread offense, and their receivers were not bunched at the line of scrimmage very much.
I
so
think
they
that's
weren't
Greg's
pressured.
point is he shouldn't be number 2 on the list if he's not that good.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying the
Well-
scores, while they matter, like these test scores and everything they add up matter.
They're
They're basically putting this out
But
there to make
also,
Bryce
like,
Young.
I also don't want us
Bryce
to
Young
be
have a
like.
giant brain. This is the giant brain diagram.
Yeah.
I also don't want us to be like too much of curmudgeons here. Like all of these numbers are who the Panthers are going to be drafting. All of these wonderful numbers about Bryce, all of the things about him
Oh, I know.
that we're excited
The weight of the
about.
world is going to be upon
this is
him.
the guy.
I
And
think
by
I'm
the
going
way,
to have more expectations on him than Cam Newton. How
By the
about
way,
that? That's
I missed
fucking
it,
insane.
Yeah, I missed this earlier. David Screw says Frank was wearing a keep pounding pin on his jacket with the $2. Appreciate you, David. I mean,
let's keep going.
at the end of the day, I mean,
He's our pick. I can't wait. I'm buying the jersey. I'm all in.
Buying the jersey.
I'm gonna love it. I love every part of it. Please don't try to misconstrue us trying to have a podcast and just have discussion that's fun and going on. Is like I believe he's gonna be the pick because everything has pointed to that. He is intoxicating. He's mesmerizing when you listen to him. I have the full belief that he is the person that has the personality that could walk into a locker room and assume that the weight of those expectations them with the easiest in a way, right? The most comfortable. I think that's a big part about it is you're walking into a place and now you are ultimately, you need to be the leader. You need to be the savior. You need to do all these things. And that is a weight that's just beyond what you do on the field. It is us talking about you, all this. So I think Bryce Young will be the best. He seems like perfect. He seems
how about
so
this?
perfect. He seems so perfect. That's it. I'm going to be all in
How
on
about this? Joe Riolano, one of the founders of the C3 Panthers podcast, comes up with a great question. Would Young come in behind Caleb Williams if he was in this draft? Now, if you don't know who Caleb Williams is, everybody's already talking him up to be the next Patrick Mahomes. He's a little bit taller than Bryce, and not by much. He's like maybe an inch or two taller than Bryce. He's built a lot better, has a much better arm, is far more mobile, and has the ability to burn you as a runner. However, the offense that he comes from is nowhere near as complex as Alabama's offense.
Is it USC?
Yeah, he's with Kingsbury at USC.
Not Kingsbury. It's a homeboy from ECU. Lane. No. Oh God.
Oh yeah, not Kingsbury. What am I talking about?
I should know this because Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, who's fucking a quarterback whisperer, bro.
His brother is the offensive coordinator in Clemson now. I'm fucking up today. You're rubbing off on me, Tony. But no, that's a great question. I mean, no, that you can make the point that Caleb Williams out of USC and Drake May out of UNC would probably be evaluated a little bit higher, although they're in more rudimentary offenses than Bryce Young is in.
But you're selling to me that that's what Bryce does. It's not about his skill set. It's about his greatness. It's his personality that's going to win on the field, supposedly.
Right.
I can't wait. I mean, you better. But I really think the weight is more on a guy like this.
Sure.
I think he has to prove more than someone who is 6. Is that he is going to he needs to exceed. The expectations are always going to be higher on. And look, he's even talked about what a black quarterback, they expect, like the difficulties of that. So if you want to phrase, he's a black small quarterback. He's fighting. He's going to have to lift as he I can't wait. But I think I'm going to call him Atlas. The weight of the world.
The polar opposite of Cam Newton, man.
It's crazy.
This.
It's so wild. All right, let's keep going. So, I mean, I'm getting nervous. I've been nervous.
I love it, man. At least you're feeling something.
I mean, we should be. This isn't
so heavy on me.
There's so much going on with this draft. Like, this is, we should be nervous, right? If you're not nervous about who we pick, even if we pick the person you want. If you're still not nervous, you're not really a fan. Like, you might be excited and optimistic, but there's gotta be a level of nerves.
Because you got to give them
that's
time,
involved
right,
as well.
CK? Right. So no matter who it
Yeah.
is, if it's Bryce Young, if it's whoever they are, when they're the number one pick, it's hard to abandon them. In fact,
Right.
I would say it's kind of odd now that teams like San Francisco and the New York Jets, maybe they're telling us that the investment doesn't have to be as long as it would be. But the thing is no matter who is selected at number one, they have to, in my mind, get 3 years at the minimum. Maybe 4. Like you made the pick, you live and die with it, is what I'm saying.
Play their
That
contract.
third year is the.
But they're
the
trying to
main
trade
year.
Trey Lance right now, and they traded like more than we did.
But
Yeah,
they
but
have a
that's
different
much-
situation there.
Yeah, that's a
They have a
much
quarterback that
different
can replace him.
situation.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
moved
that's
on
very
immediately without even
different.
seeing them. The Jets moved on from Zach Wilson.
Well, and we don't know what they don't
immediately.
know. Like, maybe Shanahan just doesn't feel like Lance is going to be able to fit in that offense. But the dude has been hurt, and he's been injured. I mean, he's been hurt, and also
He's been hurt and injured.
No, I mean he had to sit behind Alex Smith. Who was it? That he had to sit
Who?
behind?
Who did?
No, was it Jimmy Garoppolo?
Garoppolo.
Yeah, sat behind Garoppolo. And they
Who
just haven't
cares?
had a
What
lot
I'm
of
saying
chance.
is that like I feel like if the number one
I'm saying
pick,
Trey Lance is
even
not
if it's a
great example.
worse, if he's a bad pick, you still have to give him 4 years.
And
If he's a great
Exactly, yeah.
so it's so much. This is the direction of this podcast for ultimately 4 years minimum. And think about how much we'll then reference this pick in a few years after that. Say it went out great or terrible. There's still another 2-year window of us talking about how we could have done something different or did the right thing in this pick. Is really going to influence at the minimum the next 7 years of this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I wanted
Right.
to ask. I don't think the Jets are giving up on Wilson. I don't think the Jets are giving up on Wilson, Tony.
What do you mean they just traded for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, wouldn't you want your rookie young quarterback that didn't play well to sit behind Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers for a year or two, and then
now
and then
he's
you can
going to
sign him
smash every
he's got 2 years left on
hippie
his
wife you
contract?
know.
You can have Aaron Rodgers play 2 years. Tony, you can have Aaron Rodgers play 2 years, and then Zach Wilson still has 2 years left on his rookie contract. You're telling me you're not going to give that a chance?
Is he the what's the person in Christian doctrine, the Antichrist? Is Aaron Rodgers the Antichrist? Like he just comes in and he's going to win in New York.
Have you seen
It's
the
not right.
videos of Zach Wilson talking about, like, what if they bring in a veteran? He's like, I'm going to make that dude's life a living hell in camp. and then you see the Aaron Rodgers.
I just spit in the microphone.
Aaron Rodgers walking in like Nicolas Cage and
Oh my god! Yeah, it's Con Air. Con Air walks into this joint.
Oh, dude, it was incredible. Like I said, I've been, this past season, I've lost a little faith in Aaron Rodgers just based on the fact that he was very.
He's fine. He's not married. If
Well,
he
it's
was
not-
married, he'd be worried about Zach Wilson coming after his wife, though.
Well, I'm not. I wouldn't even be from that perspective. I'm irritated by the way that he would.
Rodgers?
He played. Yeah, where he played horribly this past year, and every time
And blamed
he
it
made a
on
mistake,
every single
time it was
person.
somebody
It's like
else.
Tom Brady. Tom
Yeah.
Brady does the same thing. Anytime anything goes wrong, it's somebody else.
Right. And so like that's where my biggest
can't
issue
wait
with
to see
Aaron
it.
Rodgers has been.
Can we just put the Brett side glasses on for 1 minute?
Let's do it.
Let's say this kid is the next version of Drew Brees
Hell yeah, let's do
with
it.
more mobility.
Let's do it.
Like,
That's what I expect, bro. That's my expectation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And by the way, another thing that we haven't mentioned, dude, now that Aaron Rodgers is no longer with the Packers,
There's
Literally-
nobody in the
literally
NFC, dude. None.
Dak Prescott
That's the
and
day.
Kirk Cousins are the most
Jalen
tenured
Hurts.
quarterbacks
Oh yeah.
in the NFC right now.
Can I ask you something about that, Cody? Why have these quarterbacks, big name ones too, that have moved around in the past year or so? Why have they all flooded the AFC? when there's like, first of all, you got to go against the king, Patrick Mahomes. You got to go against him. At the end is that now you have a dearth of talent in the NFC. Why are they going to a place where the playoff battle is more difficult than the championship they could potentially be in?
I don't know. It's the proving ground. The AFC teams have had a lot of luck. We have to mention that too. And the amount of draft picks that they've had. I mean, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. There have been, and now, Deshaun's with the Browns. There's a bunch of different AFC teams that have gotten the benefit of the doubt. But to me, that makes Bryce Young, that makes that pill easier to swallow, knowing that the playing field that he has to go up against, man.
Easier to swallow. I think the expectations go higher. Now we're talking about that. Like now I'm looking at Bryce Young. Boy, we're going to have a top. I expect this is
expectations are going to be high.
So high. Like right now, I feel like NFC Championship. Here we come. NFC Championship or bust for the Carolina Panthers next year. That's what this does.
That bar just keeps going up and down and up and down.
Right. That's what is so daunting about this. And this guy, he will be everywhere, Cody.
Oh, we haven't even talked about the most important part. This young man is going to sell you every product known to man for the next 10 years, man. I mean, the dude is
kind of looks like like a black version of that kid that was in that commercial with Cam Newton. Remember, he wound his arm up. The little kid was like, and Cam, you don't remember that great commercial when it was?
Oh, we remember it. They've been making memes about it with Kyle Allen, whoever else.
So who is Bryce Young in this commercial? Is he Cam Newton or is he the kid? Oh my God.
So by the way, he just partnered up with Snickers already. By the way, another thing to mention about Bryce, he was one of the first millionaire quarterbacks due to the NIL.
Yeah.
As a rookie at
Did you
Alabama.
see his parents' house?
Yeah, he made $1 million. Dude, he was in the Heisman commercials. I mean, the dude's everywhere. Has teamed up with Snickers with their ice cream bar.
He's too perfect. My God.
The Bryce cream bar, dude. How do you like that one?
I don't know if I love it. Why is it a Snickers then? Bryce cream. It should be like Breyers.
You've never had a Snickers ice cream bar? Dude, they're the shit.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, but it's called a Snickers. All right. I got you.
Yeah, they're incredible, man.
No, they are good. I just thought maybe Breyers. All right, no, I got you. Yeah, he's going to sell everything. As long as he don't tell females to run routes.
Or
not run routes.
We're not talking about running routes.
Don't say that. Or you'll lose your Oixos. Your Oixos or whatever. Fuck that. Right. That yogurt I will never eat because they left my man Cam. We'll never eat.
We'll need that expensive
we're not even done.
What's next?
Under Armour is already in the Bryce Young business, baby.
Of course. He's going to be I'm telling you, man, you get this guy right here. He's made for the camera. He's made for the mic. He's got $1 million smile. That's my whole point. That's what I've been trying to say is that with him, the expectations for everybody in the world are going to be so immense. We have to make the t-shirt Bryce it's going to be like Atlas, him holding up Panther Nation. Maybe that's the design. Holding up North and South Carolina. Bryce Young. Or Bank of America. Something like that. That's what it is. I think they're going to be so immense on this young. And the irony is he's so tiny.
Yeah.
Or
I'm interested to see what his cadence, his NFL cadence is going to sound like. Because he's not a very good dude.
So much, too.
He doesn't have a booming voice, he's normally clapping his hands.
That's awesome.
At Alabama, so it'll be interesting.
Oh my God, LMAO. Oh my God, LOL.
A lot.
That was good.
What kind of command he has over the offensive line.
All right.
Yeah, buy Armour, not Under Armour. Whatever, dude. I'm drinking beer. It's all right.
All right, nice.
Yeah, what do we have next on the docket here? Oh yeah, we need to talk about this. So Fitterer has basically said to everyone, David Tepper was a part of the coaching hires, but
we all knew that, right? He's
yeah,
been there
but
all day,
he has not
everywhere.
He has not been a part of telling the coaches what quarterback they need to draft. He has left this up to his coaching staff that he paid all that money for. Do you believe
Yes.
that he's been hands off in this process?
Yes. And when I say hands off, is I think he's been present. And CK, I'll ask you about this. Could you imagine a scenario if you were a head coach coming into something that had been like this billionaire owner had hired this snake oil salesman? You got this leftover GM. There's been a crazy synergy, it feels like, between Frank Reich, Scott Fitterer, and David Tepper. A calming effect maybe on David Tepper too, when it comes to it's like Frank Reich seems to be someone who's willing to work. It's wild as you watch other front offices, you see the shambles of power politics. There's something that makes me feel good about this relationship, and that's why I do believe this tweet right here. I believe David Tepper was very present. I don't think he would be shy about what he's talking about, but I think there's a certain faith he has in the guys, especially Frank Reich. And I think there's a working relationship and a trust between Frank Reich that's actually a little surprising.
Sure. I mean, I think that there's no reason to believe that they're telling a lie here.
All right.
David Tepper hasn't done enough to warrant him having a tremendous say in who the quarterback is going to be moving forward, right? You hired these guys because you believed in their ability to assess talent. You hired Fitterer for that reason. You've hired Reich because you believe that he can develop these guys into the quarterback of the future. Now you've just got to trust in what they're doing and not get in the way and be hands off to a degree, which is the hardest thing to do, I imagine, for an owner who has been in the absolute doghouse when it comes to fans over the past few
also
years.
Kind of a movement of it's a positive movement by him too, by not over getting involved too much, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he could have been on his toes for making everything wrong, trying to make it up, and now he has there's a composure here that hasn't been there for David Tepper over the last 2 years.
Well, I don't know if I agree with you on that, Tony. There were rumors that David Tepper loved Justin Herbert and Justin Fields, and he would have
been right,
but he left that decision up to Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer, which we all know was Matt Rule. So
yeah,
Fitterer
wasn't here for the first one.
What I'm saying is, I don't believe that we give David Tepper enough credit. And by the way, I was one of the people that was saying, "Hey, is our owner another Jerry Jones? Like, is he going to have his hands on the?"
He was 6 months ago.
Yeah, but it's like not when it comes to what type of players. The only move that I feel had David Tepper's hands all over it was bringing back Cam Newton in the middle of that season.
Okay. I'm not going to get in that argument with you right now.
I think that was all Tepper.
But see, this is why I just have such a hard time believing any of this, because I'm looking at the time and the date. That's today at 4:00, basically. Okay. I went back to the tweet you showed earlier that said almost the opposite of this, the proposal tweet. Look, it says right here, there's been a consensus since day one, is what Fitterer said today in this tweet. Then the tweet we looked at earlier that was from today as well.
So they all knew. So they were all on board for the last 2 months.
Thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't know what to believe about anything, because we're getting in the same day. I don't know what time the tweet was earlier, but I think they came out today as well. 2 conflicting things from people that have talked to people in the team. Like, what is going on? How can we put our eggs in any basket here?
You know where you can find out is Thursday night. We'll start coverage at 7 p.m. on the C3. This will be the 10th live draft party we have.
Yep.
Been some doozies. The first one, by the way, this is 10 years ago. The Carolina Panthers, I think, was drafted Kelvin Benjamin.
Yep. Panther gal with the
Think about
$2 wants to know if we're airing the draft. We don't know if we're going to air it yet or not,
No.
but we know we're going to be on doing our show like we always do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a watch along party. I don't want, but we'll talk more about that.
Yep.
What's up next on the docket?
Two more super chats. Kev says Bryce, Drake May, Caleb Williams, or I ain't even reading that last one. He's so damn disrespectful to me on my own show.
Go back. I'll read it.
And then he says, Palmetto Money says, what's my beer choice? Man, I'm a Heineken man. That's what I'm drinking on.
Likes that Heine.
Aw, shit. I do.
All right. So we'll see. This is a stupid
boy.
story.
Oh boy.
You know what? I don't know what's dumb, man. Is that I thought the food shit was a gimmick at first. I don't know what to believe with the. I can't unpeel Will Levis and his food habits. I was like, oh, he did this. One was the mayo thing. Does he really do that, or was it at a bowl game where he did that as a shtick? I've seen him.
No, he was with his girlfriend in a diner.
Oh, so he just did that on his own.
Yeah,
right.
they just did it.
I saw him eat the banana, right? I saw him eat that. But recently, someone put up linked a story from Pro Football Talk, and it was just a still image, and he was biting. And I was talking on the radio with my buddy Clip on Pirate Radio last week. And he was like, oh, that's not that bad. That's not bad. But if he bit into an orange, that would be all. And I saw a picture of him. Is he doing this for attention, or is he really a food psychopath?
No, I'm a personal believer that he's doing it for attention. Yeah, I mean,
weird,
I've been saying it for a while.
It's gone too far.
But that's a red flag. It's a red flag for me, dude. But also,
biting into an orange.
So look,
with
somebody
the white part is so bitter.
You cannot make this shit up, dude. Somebody on Reddit this morning went and made this post and said Will Levis is currently plus 4,000 to be the first overall pick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's telling his friends and family that he is going to be the pick to Carolina come Thursday. And within an hour's time, this shows you the power of Reddit, dude.
It moved to 400.
It goes from plus 4,000 to plus 400.
Well, you know what, though, is that neither of those are going to pay back either. They're all losses.
I mean,
that's the thing is the plus 4, and you don't get a better deal on 2 losing tickets, though. Those are both losing tickets.
I mean, hey, I'm just reporting what's being reported.
That means there's a bunch of dummies out there who all of a sudden said, oh, there's great odds on Will Levis being number 1. If we hit this, it's going to win. But it's not literally going to happen.
How mad would
We're both
you be
losing tickets. It's
how mad would you be if Will Levis was the number 1 pick?
It's impossible. It's impossible. You know what? I'm here for it. Like you
Greg,
said,
you're muted, by the way, brother.
Yeah, sorry, my thing got unplugged. I was saying I'd be the most angry of Will Levis of anybody that we drafted. Like I could deal with Richardson. I'd be mad about it. I could deal with Bryce Young. Will Levis. If we traded number 1 to draft Will Levis, I'm gonna be so pissed.
You know what? Is we have to ice up the people who bet plus 4,000 on Will Levis and plus 400. They're both terrible bets.
Not really. You put $20 down on plus 4,000. What's the payout?
Yeah, they're good odds. There's like if a meteor hit the Earth tomorrow, 1 billion to 1,000. Yeah, I'll put $1 down, but still losing ticket.
So, by the way, then there was another dude on Twitter and he tagged me, or someone tagged me in it that Anthony Richardson. He went to a Just for Men's, the suit place where they fit you for suits.
Oh, Men's Warehouse or some shit.
Yeah, Men's Warehouse. He was at a Men's Warehouse in Gainesville, and his friend fitted Anthony Richardson for a brand new suit. And he asked Anthony Richardson, "Who's drafting you?" And he seemed positive that he was going to be drafted by the Carolina Panthers. Do you feel as though Fitterer is just telling every prospect that we meet
or
with,
there's just some
hey,
random dude
you're
at
the
Men's
dude that
Warehouse
we're
that's talking about
drafting?
shit.
Yeah.
He
You know
posted a
what?
picture
Go sell your house. Go put a lien against your house. This guy from Men's Warehouse told us that he met Anthony Richardson and it's going to be the number 1 pick. Do not go do that, folks. Do not go bet on Will Levis being the number 1 pick. Don't do it.
Please.
I don't think they're good bets. They might pay big money if they hit. I don't think they'll hit.
Yeah.
I just put this up there for
CJ
posterity.
Stroud,
I put this up there because it rings true to me. CJ Stroud had a poor cognitive test, and now he might fall completely out of the top 12 because of it.
Levis
had a poor entire college football career, but might go in the top 5.
Got a better
dude.
driving record.
Doing?
Like CJ Stroud got in one accident when he was a kid and a speeding ticket, but now Will Levis, clean driving record, number 1 pick in the NFL draft. What's next?
Hey, what do you say we jump to some of these cat calls?
Perfecto.
Muy perfecto. Boom, boom, boom. Take this down, and it is that time where we listen to the Panther fans tell us what time it is in these cat calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. Have your voice heard. Leave us a message and talk to us live on the show.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use
Play, you biatch.
Oh shit, Tony's fucking up, bro.
I know, man. I just look.
Hey y'all.
Yeah.
What up, G?
After tomorrow, Thursday, and I believe Bryce Young is gonna be the number 1 pick. But I'm saying this shit right now. If we don't pick Bryce Young, AL 15. I know you guys might hate me on that shit, but I pick AR 15 above CJ Stroud and Will Levis and Hooker and everybody else, man. That's if we don't take Bryce Young. But something else I noticed about this year's draft. This year is the year of the pass rushers. Oh my God. Just imagine if we had our quarterback set, we needed a damn pass rusher. They got so many this damn year.
Yep.
You know, you got Tyree Wilson, you know, you got Will Anderson. You know, you got the dude out of LSU. You know, they have a lot of damn pass rush. Even Carter from Georgia or whatever, you know. And that's a good problem to have. You know, and Cody, a name that nobody's missing, that boy out of damn Clemson, Miles Murphy or whatever, man.
Yeah.
This
Miles
is the year of
piece.
the pass rusher. I seriously doubt any of them dudes going to fall to 39. But if one of them dudes fall to 39, hey, we need to pick them up. One of them dudes. And another dude, I forgot the dude's name. He's a cornerback from Mississippi State. This dude picked off these quarterbacks 6 times this year. He led college football in interceptions. He's a cornerback from Mississippi State. Bad thing about him is he's only 160 pounds, but like I'm saying, I believe Bryce Young is going to be the damn pick. Give me your thoughts on that, y'all. Keep pounding.
Hey, man, I love the idea of that prospect out of Mississippi State. There's a corner. He has like the most interceptions in college football history, like literally the most ever. But he's 160 pounds, so people are worried about his about his ability to, go up against those bigger, stronger wide receivers. I mean, listen, I've already accepted the fact that Bryce is going to be the pick. So I'm not even fretting about it, man. Like now I'm just choosing to be optimistic, look at the upside. I'm excited about it. And I ran across this, G, while you were talking. We were talking about Caleb Williams earlier. And they said that hold on. That multiple NFL scouts and coaches reportedly believe Caleb Williams is miles ahead of any quarterback in this year's draft. Many scouts believe Williams is the closest prospect, a prospect that's been to Patrick Mahomes since Patrick Mahomes was drafted. Well, that's bullshit. People didn't even love Mahomes coming through the draft.
Well, no, I don't think they're saying they love
Mahomes
I
now.
I think now, I think these are the trends we're going to continue to see. What is the next trend? Bryce Young is of the trend of Patrick Mahomes, and that is you're hoping on special. It's not, I wouldn't even say with Patrick Mahomes, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, he does have a big arm. But really what Patrick Mahomes has is the ability to just win in any situation whatsoever. It's just like he's a magician out there. 5 years ago, maybe that trend was a different trend. 5 years from now, I don't know if we're going to continue to just like, and CK has said this a long time on the show, is in some ways you're betting to the minority, the almost impossible. You're betting the hard 8 on the craps table. You know what I'm saying? You're going for the number on the roulette table. And maybe you have to at number 1. But in 5 years, if you see a big hoist of Cam Newtons come along the road, maybe there'll be a different trend going forward. If Anthony Richardson hits and he's the best quarterback in this draft, maybe we're not looking for the next Patrick Mahomes because you're looking for the next Lamar Jackson, the next Cam Newton, the next stallion that's going to run, and so it's everything. There are a lot of, they call it a copycat league. Somebody runs a trick play in college or the pros, they run it the next, and then the team does it the next week. You're trying to replicate the most recent success, the most recent home run, and the most home run of home runs in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes right now. Sure. He's the biggest home run since Tom Brady. And that is a guy that's just been transcendently good. And I think that's if you get up there and you hit a double, it's a failure. You have to hit a big ass grand slam and you're a little guy like Bryce Young. The pressure is insane. The pressure is insane. The expectations are crazy. Let's keep going with the calls.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? This is Smooth Taco.
What's up, Smooth?
I just want to speak briefly about the change in the betting odds for the first pick. I'm not buying this C.J. Stroud falling that far. The Will Levis going from a distant 4th in the betting odds to now the 2nd over some Reddit post bullshit. I think because his stock is falling so much that somebody's just trying to blow smoke to help his draft stock for some reason. I think him and Anthony Richardson both are going to fall further than what people expect. I still think it's going to be Young and Stroud going the first 2 quarterbacks taken off the board. And I want to do ice up to Julian Council of the Locked On Panthers podcast. Dude, if you're supposed to be covering the Panthers and the Panthers fan standpoint, why are you always shitting on the Panthers' moves they're doing this offseason? This is the most exciting offseason the Panthers had in a long time, if not ever. Everything they've done, you shit on. You shit on the wide receiver pickups they made of Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. Keep saying they got the worst receiver core in the league. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that's got worse situations than that. Talking about there's no good quarterbacks in this league. I mean, in this draft, but has absolutely shit on almost everything the Panthers done this offseason, man. I don't get it. If you hate the team that much, don't be the podcast for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's other listeners to this show that's heard them. What's up, dude?
Thank you for the call. I have not listened to that podcast, right? And I'm not here again. I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. But I guess it also depends on, are you a fan or are you just trying to be a journalist in some ways? But I would say when it comes to positions and optimism, it's more risky to be optimistic than it is to be pessimistic. It's safer. Yeah. Let me just say this is like, it's safer going in when on Thursday night, whoever we pick, it's safer to expect failure than it is to expect success.
Yeah, it's like buying any lottery ticket.
Like you're buying on it's easier to buy on the negative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it takes a lot of guts. And you know who does it the best on this show is Cody Lackney. My man will come in here and he'll come in with a position, but that takes a lot of guts than just being a critic, is what I would say.
Balls.
And when it comes to the Panthers, I don't think that I don't know. Has the position of the Carolina Panthers, I think this offseason has been, how can it not be judged as very, very good in the fact that we have the number 1 pick?
Yeah,
I think that's like the most remarkable part. Like, I think it's at the very net a wash. And like, it can't be negative. We have the number 1 pick. That's bizarre. We just had the number 9 pick or 8 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to many other podcasts. They're very few and far between the Panthers podcasts that I listen to. I have some that I respect. But also, I'll say this, Tony, I thought about this. You were saying that your son is taller than you now.
Yeah.
That means your son probably taller than Bryce Young.
Oh, definitely. I'm the same height of him.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm scared of my son. Like, if we were in a boxing match, I wouldn't say,
I'm saying,
he's taller.
In a few years, your son might weigh more than Bryce Young.
It's very possible. Well, he's a thin frame. He could be a 2-inch taller Bryce Young.
Yeah,
got the hair. Somebody I think in the chat room last week said, or somewhere I said, I'm nervous about taking a quarterback that I think I could beat in a bar fight.
That wasn't great.
I said that. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. And now that's kind of stuck with me. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Steve Smith. Oh, how about this? Think about a huddle where Bryce Young is in that huddle and a young Steve Smith. Think of feisty Steve Smith. Punch you in the face, Steve Smith. And you're having struggles. He's like, it's going to be calm. And Steve's like, give me the fucking ball. Come on, I'm ready to go. He's like, hey, I'll do what I got to do. It's going to be great. How do you think Steve Smith would deal with Bryce Young in the huddle? And if you're Bryce Young, you're a little, I would be mad intimidated. Like, the only reason I wouldn't be intimidated by Steve Smith if I was 6'3" and 240 pounds, then I would feel a lot better about my situation, but I'm not. So I'm scared as fuck of Steve Smith already.
Yeah, but
he's gonna bolt. Steve Smith, what would he have done to Bryce Young, dude?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, as of right now, Steve Smith has a big old heart on for Bryce Young.
I know.
Dude,
you know
that's like all he talks about.
We got old man Steve. We got old man Steve now. He ain't the same.
Dude, he was saying that Bryce is miles ahead of CJ Stroud on film. So
see, old Steve Smith would have not given
it's worth.
Old Steve Smith would have not given a fuck about what anybody did in the past. And he would be like, I'm the best motherfucker in this room. Come on. Like, that was his.
And he was right for the most part.
Right. But that is now the analyst, Steve Smith.
Right.
That's Uncle Steve now being a little nicer. But he had such a dog in him. And you still see it in the radio sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he can't help but be. And that's what made him great. I'm just interested how that personality would have rocked with Bryce Young? Would Bryce Young have talked them off the ledge like in therapy? It's like, hey, we're gonna be fine.
Maybe he's
We're gonna
so
get through this.
agreeable. He's
Right?
so
It's like even
agreeable
Steve
that-
Smith.
Yeah, good.
Steve
Wouldn't
Smith
even be
just
able to-
starts like saying like,
You're right. I'm one of us. We're one of us.
right.
I know. All right, let's go to the next call.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What up, Ant?
Just wanted to call in and, just say what's up. 2 days, man. 2 freaking days till the draft. It's awesome. Can't believe it's finally here. And man, I mean, it has felt like almost a year since we traded for the first overall pick. And I know that the chatter has been awesome for content creators, including myself and you guys. I mean, it's great content for us to talk about. It is an exciting time. Yeah, not really anything else. There's not anything else to really talk about because the draft is here, basically. They had a practice today. Good to see the boys back on the field. You guys seem happy. Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark. That's all awesome to see. Frank Reich talked a little bit. And he said that him and Fitterer came on a consensus of, it seemed like Fitterer asked him, are we taking this guy? And Frank said it was like a proposal. And he said, yes, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm making my final prediction. I think the pick is going to be Bryce Young. I've said that for, I think the last
Anthony,
2 cat calls I've called in,
You
but
said
I
that
think
for
the
like
pick
2
is going to be
months.
Bryce Young. I don't buy any of the Will Levis stuff. That was just some guy on Reddit, messing around saying, my folks, someone told my folks that Will Levis is going to be a Panther. Yeah, anyone can go on there and just say random stuff. But if you want the real information,
Like Twitter
listen to the NFL guys that cover the team, like Cameron Wolf, who's been covering our team for over a month. He said the exact same thing. He thinks it's going to be Bryce Young. Anyways, give me your thoughts. Anthony from Charlotte. Keep motherfucking pounding. Who do y'all think is going to be our QB?
We all know it's going to be Bryce at this point. Now we're at the point of thinking about Steve Smith in the huddle with these guys. The thing about this is we talked about momentarily what Bryce Young would have to deal with. CJ Stroud, if he's the quarterback, Steve Smith, like, what, you so dumb you don't remember the playbook? Like, he would be like, your S2 test won't high enough to do better. Like, he would be on that bully. And imagine Will Levis being in that huddle. What the fuck's wrong with you, Will? Why do you not peel the bananas? Come on, get your shit. Like, he would just
mayo in your fucking coffee, boy.
God, like, is that maybe Anthony Richardson's the only one that could survive that huddle?
Potentially. I also had this clip from earlier of
I'm terrified of Steve Smith.
of Frank Reich talking about their conviction on the process.
I think we all had inclinations early on.
We got to figure out how to get the StreamYard to pump up. That's got to be our recommendation to them.
Dude, this is always on the Panthers. Like, their audio is terrible, and the
All right, well, just tell us what he said. What he said.
Is it impossible to hear?
Yeah, we can't hear him.
Gradually for us as coaches, because the scouts were ahead of us.
It's okay. Just tell us.
But I got to hear him.
So as coaches, as we dug in, our conviction started to build.
Conviction.
No, I just
That's
said
it. He's got conviction.
Their conviction started to build slowly over time.
It's Bryce Young.
It leads credence to the fact that they've known what direction they were pointing for a long time, and then they settled down on who that player is.
As we take the next call, I really want you guys to think about what the news about Brian Burns. That's what's up next up that I want to talk about between the cat calls. I'm sure somebody will bring it up too, but be thinking about Ugh. Brian Burns had surgery. Yuck. Our best player, the best player on the team. Man, that's some bad news. Tough news. We want to hear your thoughts. 252-228-5098.
Look, guys, I've been listening to the podcast for close to 2 years now. This is my first time calling in. I'm from Greenville, work in New Bern every day, Eastern North Carolina boy.
Just
wanted to say one thing about the Panthers, the great debate or the master debate. I was laying in the bed the other day, and I was master debating. And one thing that came across to me that I haven't heard anybody really mention yet is one of our greatest Panthers of all time is an undersized player who is, I think Steve Smith was 5'10", maybe 185, a little bit smaller than Bryce Young. So, and we all know that Steve Smith's big on Bryce Young too. So, all this stuff about size, I kind of bought into it to begin with too. But the more I look into it, the more I listen to what people around the league are saying. I'm all in on Bryce Young, and a lot like everybody else is saying too, Panther fans. If we do go with Stroud, I'm not disappointed. I'm still okay. I'm just happy we're at number one. But Bryce Young, man, the size is not enough for me to not go with Bryce Young. That's my pick. That's who I want. But like I said, man, I'm happy either way. Keep pounding.
That's a wonderful
Keep
call.
pounding.
From Greenville, North Carolina. That's my town. And imagine if Scott Fitterer came out and said, I have a clear mind. We master debated about it. We have reached our consensus.
Only we're dumb enough to say that shit.
The only thing I don't
great ideas have come in that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a double
Oh, you
entendre.
son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah, that's a good joke right there.
I'll wet blanket this a little bit. The only thing I don't like about that call is you're comparing a wide receiver to a quarterback here. There's a huge difference in size. You can't talk about size with that. I mean, it's wide receiver. You can be. It's proven you can be good from the shortest guys like Steve Smith to being guys who are 6'2" or 6'3". You see it all the time. Size is not as big of a deal. Wide receiver, it's different a position. Quarterback's quite different.
That's my call of the night.
But all the guys standing in front of you are 6'5" and you're 5'10". It's way different. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
My call of the night. Let's keep going.
But I wanted to highlight one. I wanted to highlight one comment real quick. Kristen Ledane says, "All I'm gonna say is if we draft Young, I'm gonna toss salt behind my back every game for good luck."
I know. I mean,
Yeah,
we mentioned this
man.
last week. Is like the moment that first hit comes.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh,
we're gonna be like,
no.
oh, please get up." Please
Everybody's
get up. And
gonna
if he gets up
flinch.
and he's like, "Hey," and he pulls out a Snickers bar out of his pocket, and he's like, "I'm good," then I'll be fine. But you're like, "Oh shit, come on, let's get through this moment." And then it might be every hit.
Oh boy,
I know. There's a lot of pressure that comes with. Now we have the quarterback. We wanted to be in a land where we have the quarterback. Now we got it. Now are we going to make the most of it? Let's go to the next call. I hope they make the most of it.
What's up, guys? It's Chase with the number one pick, the Panthers select Stetson Bennett. I'm just kidding.
Silence.
So the ones that are talking about Bryce Young's size and worry about injuries, Cam Newton, his last half of his career, he had a lot of injuries. If your last name is Bosa or your last name is Watt, you're a monster size of an athlete, but you always hurt. So injury and your size has nothing to do with each other. And I've been reading people comparing Young to Tua and his injuries because his size. Tua was injured a lot in college. He came out of college injured. So that's a disingenuous comparison there.
Yeah, good call.
And Anthony Richardson sucks.
Oh,
let's quit talking about it.
Stop. Thank you for your call. Let's keep going.
Well, what is up, C3? It's JJ.
What up, JJ?
Back again. You know, it's been a bit, but obviously it's draft week. We super excited for that. I'm gonna try and be there on Thursday for the live reaction in the pre-pro or whatever y'all are doing. I'm gonna try and get there early show trying to do that. Obviously, I've been an Ohio State fan and I've been rooting for CJ this whole time, but really, obviously, it's probably going to be Bryce Young. And I mean, like I've mentioned multiple times, Cody knows I'm cool with that. And most people really are cool with Bryce Young being the guy, honestly. So I kind of just hope everyone's okay. I hope nobody's really going to be upset with whatever pick we make. I think the biggest step forward, I mean, like at least that I want to do or try to do while I'm there in the live stream, is whoever the pick is. I don't even care if it's Will Levis, and Cody even knows. I don't like Will Levis or don't even want him. But if that's who the Panthers and this franchise won, then I'm getting up and I'm clapping for them. Like, we should really just give the pick a standing ovation, because this franchise or the fan base has been giving this franchise hell. A lot of people have been going back and forth, bickering on who they want, on who it's going to be. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. What matters is, will they succeed?
I'm going to stop the call right there and ask you this, because he's asking a tough question to me and the panel.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe this is like, as someone who's had a podcast for 10 years, who's going to talk about the Panthers ad nauseum, if there's news or not news, I do have a vested interest in cheering for whoever the pick is, mustering up optimism. We come on the following Tuesday after this draft, and whoever we pick, Bryce Young, I'm going to be talking about him being the superhero, the Atlas that's going to take this team on forward. Imagine the narrative we would have to try to craft. Imagine the mental gymnastics we would have to go through if Will Levis was the pick to muster up. Like, what would you'll be like, oh God, this show's going to be so hard. We got to get up and get excited about something we have zero.
Hey, such as being a fan, such as being an NFL fan, dude.
Bro, we have to all bite
fans...
oranges. You know what? We would all have to eat a banana, peel and all. Like,
dude, you might have to. I'm sure.
Panther fans would go viral. We'd have to become the next Buffalo fans of jumping on tables.
And putting mayo in our coffee.
We would have to.
Dude.
That's what it would take. That's what it would take. Until he won his first game.
No,
we would imagine we would all be like, it should have been Bryce Young. Should have Bryce Young. I wish we would have got Bryce Young. Next call.
Dude, I'm a coffee connoisseur.
Hi guys, it's Rich in England. Looking forward to the draft on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, obviously. I think we're going to take Bryce. I'm looking forward to it. I was chatting with a good mate of mine tonight in England, and I described Bryce as perhaps a Luke Keithley of the offense. Maybe that's the best thing. We haven't seen it really as a quarterback, but maybe he's just a thinking quarterback, if that's where we go. Loads of other thoughts about other quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, how good could he be? Would he be Kirk Cousins? Would he be Derek Carr? Is that perhaps his ceiling? Hopefully we don't take Levis. Still, the Richardson, very interesting. But, you know, we had Cam for ages, and is it Cam light without the success? So not sure about that. Interested what we do at 39. Do we trade? I wonder if we try and trade back a little bit and pick up another pick, so we get a couple around the 100 or the 80s. If we drop back from 39 to 48 or something, and pick up an 80 to go with the 93 and get some more people. But certainly at 39, there's definitely room for real player. Definitely, there's edges and corners and linebackers. BJ Ojolari is constantly mocked to us. Deontay, maybe is it White? Loads of players at 39. That's almost more interesting for the Panthers going from there. I don't know how much they phoned in recently, but really thought the Panthers have done a really good job this off season. Between the coaching staff and everything else they've tried to achieve, I think Andy Dalton is the best backup or starter backup they could have ever got. Even better than Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, just really happy, really looking forward to it. And by the way, can I just say, Ice Up Son, Matt Rule, you are Matt Rule, the biggest tool. Okay, Ice Up Son, Matt Rule.
dude.
Jesus, can someone attach that to one of flipping Elon Musk's rockets, firing into the sun and be done with him? Because he's the saddest, sorriest mother crusher the world has ever seen. Anyway, I'll leave that. Doing a wonderful job, guys. I'll be around on Thursday night. Keep pounding.
Thank you, Rich, from across the pond. That call probably cost him like $10.
That's a real fan, dude. He's been a fan for a long time.
And Matt Rule the Tool. Where did we not come up with that one? Where were we on that 3 years ago?
Dude,
he's fucking
Fat
terrible.
Mule,
I hate him.
Fat Fool.
I don't usually dislike people on an individual level, like where you are around, like if you, like it's kind of almost like you smell bad, like you have a bad, Matt Rule has a bad pheromone for me. Like I'm off put by him. It's like cottage cheese. I'm trying to think of a food that, like, it's okay if you like the food. And I'm not a picky person usually, but I don't eat cottage cheese. I'm trying to think of something else. Oh, ginger. I don't fuck with ginger. It's off-putting. Matt Rule is ginger to me. The number's 252-228.
Did you want to hear this stupid sound clip?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Cleanse my palate of good taste with ginger.
I'm sorry to do this to you all and make all 200 of you watching listen to this buffoon. But here you go.
Some are so crucial to our team. The ability to focus for 3 hours. We saw some lulls in there with the ball on the ground and all that, and that's really the next step when you have the ability to focus for 3.5 hours straight. But I like the progress we've made so far. So with that, I'll see what you guys have.
All right.
Exactly.
I have so much film to watch. You know what I'm saying? When I'm out there, it's so hard. If we hit a big play, I'm upset with the defense.
Did you pause it, or was that the natural pause? Can you go through it? Look at the natural. All right, so then that must have been a really long question.
The ability to focus,
or it was just ridiculously good.
So with that, I'll see what you guys have.
Oh, there you go. It's the underbite. The fucking underbite. You know why this is?
I'm gonna have to watch the film. I'm gonna have to watch the film.
This is a complete mashup of everything he was with Carolina. The first part was about the energy of the practice. He always talks about the energy of an event, and then he talks about the process. Then he says that. So it goes from, we need this elite energy, this elite competition. That's what he says. We're going to create elite competition. And then you go to the Florida video. Remember when he went to Florida, he was talking to the players. He's like, it's all about taking notes. It's about the notes and the details and the details and the notes. And then it's just, now I got to go back to the tape. It's the same fucking
Yeah, he never says anything different, man. He's a broken record. Dude, I don't understand how many, these people that make decisions on behalf of these multi-billion-dollar NFL programs and schools that continue to get hoodwinked by this.
This is at all levels of life, dude. That's what the thing is it's not just Nebraska. It's not just the Carolina Panthers. Think about every institution in the world. And there are a lot of people out there that we put a ton of faith in who are morons. Let's go to the next goal.
Anyway, two things real quick. Donnie Lynn with a $10 super sticker. We appreciate you, Donnie. You're incredible. And then Pops Barrington with the $4.99 says, "Yo, fuck Matt Rule."
It's just fool me once, shame on you.
Fool me twice.
Fool me twice. A fooled man can't get fooled again. Thank you, George Bush. Love you.
What's up, C3 family?
C3, what's up?
I'm seeing all this crap about Will Levis. These bet odds changing. I swear I'll burn all my Panther shit if they draft Will Levis with the number 1 overall pick. That would be so dumb and set this franchise back years and years. It'd be time to get on the Pat Mahomes train and move to the Kansas City Chiefs as my number 1 team. Please let that shit not be true.
It's not. Don't worry.
Bryce Young all day. Keep pounding. Love what y'all do, C3.
Appreciate you,
Panther
brother.
Willie out.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Panther Willie.
All right. This one I'm pretty sure is for Cody.
Yo, it's White Chocolate Espresso. What's happening? Yo, it's about to be here. We're about to build this franchise to greatness. And you know whose number 1 pick is going to be? It's going to be Bryce Young, a.k.a. Ant-Man. And I'm fucking hyped for it. Let's fucking go. Fuck CJ. Fuck fucking.
That's what we gotta go like that.
Fuck AR. They're all bust. And Hooker, bust. They're all
That's where we have to be. This is
anybody
us
not
Thursday
drafted by the
night.
Carolina Panthers, bust. Bryce Young going to win 3 Super Bowls at the least.
By himself.
With 2 MVPs at the least.
Yeah.
Change this history right now.
Such a good
Let's
call.
go. Peace.
That's
that call gets me amped for the draft. Hey, can we
That's
think
what
of a
we're all
drinking
gonna
game?
be Thursday night. Like Thursday night,
Yeah.
that will officially be the position of every Panthers fan. We got the best motherfucker. All those are gonna suck. Blah 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 until it doesn't happen. And I think it will happen.
Can we do a Panthers drinking game for the draft night?
Right.
We got to pick a word or 2 words.
I thought it was called draft night. That's my drink.
draft
game.
night. Yeah, sorry. Draft night, like a word or 2 words every time it's.
What is it? What's the word?
Pick a word. I don't know. What do you think? What's a good buzzword?
Man, I've fallen asleep on the draft.
You
show
won the
one
first
time.
round. You won the first round.
Not with
Well, I
the
mean,
first
after the first pick is over, Tony's got nothing to look forward to. He's gonna fucking. He's gonna
No, we're gonna have
go in. He's gonna go into a coma.
Let the fans pick. Let's ask them. What's a good
It
buzzword?
was a late.
Dude, a few years, no. A few years
It
ago,
was
me
late.
and Tony
It
were
was
on
late.
the
It was like
draft show,
27th
and
pick.
I look over at Tony, and he's kind of off the screen a little bit, but he has his head down. I'm like, yo, there's no way Tony's passed out, fucking sleeping right now. Sure
was a
enough,
long
my
draft.
man passed the
It was a
fuck
long
out,
draft.
dude.
I have a lot of fun.
Hey, I do want to give credit to Kev. I don't know why. All he does is annoy me.
It was a great call.
If Cam Newton is Superman, he's saying Bryce Young is Ant-Man. He's just the incredible tiny guy.
Well, or that turns into a giant dude that then smushes everybody, right?
Oh,
Isn't that what I
shit.
mean?
Yeah.
Well,
he does do that.
Next call.
Hey, all you Panther fans. I was just calling to say I truly believe that the Carolina Panthers is going to draft CJ Stroud and surprise and shock a whole lot of people. I mean,
Imagine how many beers
I
we
hear
drink
everybody
then.
saying Bryce Young, and he's a good quarterback. But I'm telling y'all, I think the Panthers are going to draft CJ Stroud.
Hope so.
I wonder if draft
right.
night, if we could set the odds on if Tony got more drunk or less drunk. And if it would be if we drafted Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Like imagine how long the show would go if we drafted anybody but Bryce Young. We would be on here for like 10 hours. If they said this, the number 1 pick in the draft is Anthony Richardson, Panther fans would be talking about it for nonstop. They would be calling the C3 Panthers podcast nonstop for hours. Now I'm rooting for Bryce Young just so we don't have to deal with that nonsense. That would be violence. Next call.
C3 fam, 910 Panther fan here.
910, what's up?
First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to CK. Really good news for you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
As far as the pick, I'm with the silent majority who has been silenced by all this Bryce Young talk. I'm on the Stroud train. I've liked him since they met with him. So for me, I think taking Stroud number 1 would create this tornado of activity for the number 2 pick because, I mean, let's face it, there's probably 6 or 7 teams that are going to be mind blown that we didn't take Bryce and are going to trade the farm to get up there and capitalize on a mistake. But like I've said it all along, I think Bryce Young is going to be a superstar for a couple of years until he gets banged up. And that's not to say anything bad against him. If we get him, I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm worried about his size when it comes to longevity. Because he's going to get hit. So how does he recover? That's my main thing. And I think bigger bodies can take a little bit more abuse. Anyways, that's all I got. Y'all have a great day. Keep pounding.
Pounding. I mean, listen, and kudos to all the Stroud people. There is a firm contingent of Stroud fans that they still believe he is going to be the number 1 pick and that this is all just a smoke screen. I used to be one of those people. I'm not anymore. I think we know who the pick is going to be. But, dude, let me tell you.
If he's not, let me ask you this, though, is that one thing I know is that the debate we've witnessed from the Panthers fan perspective where you have to take a side of which one you would make the pick. But let me say for the people who are confident that Bryce Young is the number 1 pick, which I feel like we all have to be at this point. Is the drop off significant enough where you're hoping you don't mind if he goes to Atlanta? Or are we hoping?
No, I do not.
Are we going to be like
that?
Because that's the thing is people that are kind of shaming CJ Stroud in a way, which I can understand why you would say you wouldn't pick him number 1, but is he bad now? And I don't know if I would like to see him in a Falcons jersey necessarily.
No, I don't think him or Richardson.
Yeah, like keep them out of my. Can they all go to? Can
conference?
Can Indianapolis pick both of them?
Potentially.
Please?
How about this? They both, I guess, are also being sponsored by Raising Cane's, or they're doing some kind of.
That's a BJ. That's the running back.
No, hold up. Watch the whole video.
Maniac combo, no coleslaw, extra fries.
Maniac combo, no coleslaw, extra bread.
Yeah, same thing. Maniac, no coleslaw.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're all sitting there just chilling, man.
I wonder how much they paid them to do that.
Did they ever Raising Cane's in Charlotte? Man, everybody's
But think
talking
about how much that one commercial they got paid for.
Probably a lot.
I bet you each person got paid $5,000 for it.
Bro, I kind of want some fried chicken now. Shit.
Look, Cody.
No, I just need me a little bit of chicken, dog.
How much do you truly think it would cost to have them endorse? At the minimum, that was $5,000.
Yeah.
Imagine if we just had to give them a meal.
Could you
and
imagine?
They came on the C3 Panthers podcast. CK, would $5,000 be enough
to come on? No.
I know that is less because kind of feels more prestigious because it's a brand of a product. So it's a product endorsement. So they might not want to endorse a podcast that's an opinionated thing.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying you think that each one of them got paid more than $5,000 to do that one little thing? That's so fucked up.
Imagine being a 21-year-old millionaire. And no, dude, imagine Stroud. He was like, 19 years old when he made his first $1 million.
Dude, they were driving like Lambo. No, he said when he was on the pivot, they asked him about their cars. He said he drives the G-Wagon or whatever. Is that the Mercedes joint?
Yeah.
And then the other guy who's the running back from Texas, Bijan, who was in that same commercial, right? That's his name. He's driving like a Lambo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, Oh, and can we bring up did you put the thing about what Matt Rule? We talked about Matt Rule. This is why I knew he was on my mind. I had not even seen that video. He was on my mind because news came out today that the Panthers have removed assigned seating from the parking lot for players. Did you see that? Is that I thought I sent that. It might not be in the presentation, but
no, you sent it. I'll pop
this
it
is
up.
wild. Is that so? Like as now things are settling down, the Panthers have taken a moment to breathe as they found consensus about their quarterback. The proposal, both said yes, probably to Bryce Young. Now they turn their attention to some of the housekeeping matters at Bank of America. And the Panthers have removed player assigned parking spots. The assigned seating of the parking lot spots has gone away, instituted by Matt Rule. It's when you hear these types of stories, you remember that they're college coaches. We've heard several stories that have come out about the management of the social media, whatever. It comes to these small little things. And those are always the fear that you have when a college coach comes. And now to like the pros. And now we know that it was bad. We know the Matt Rule thing was a failure, but we continue to get these little tidbits of shit. Was the assigned seating of who was the teacher's pet is my question. Or how did they
Robbie Anderson had the best parking spot.
Cuba Hubbard parked right beside his wife.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy that absolute cancer is no longer a part of this organization, dude.
I'm less mad that there was actually like assigned parking lot, like because I think like if you are at my work, you can pay for these spots, like you donate to United Way or something. They give you a spot or something. But I mean, I can understand, like, I would be pissed off if some youngin came in and parked ahead of Luke Kuechly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I feel like Luke Kuechly should get the prime spot. But I'm interested if they're tweeting about this, is that this parking lot assignment had to have been teacher Matt Rule making the seating chart. I know it, and I don't have any evidence about it, but it had to have been the case.
Somebody made the point when we were showing the Matt Rule video that he looks nervous. Like, he looks like he's in over his head at all times, dude.
Right.
He has that nervous energy about him. Like,
do you think that
he's big,
Carolina taught him that? Do you think he was too stupid to know that he should have been like that the whole time until Carolina?
I think going from Temple to Baylor to the fucking Panthers and the NFL
superstar,
dude,
like a rocket ship.
That was the jump that he was just nowhere near prepared to make. I don't even think he's prepared to go to Nebraska.
But Nebraska is a tough school to coach for in general because
they have a history. They were one of the best teams in college football in the 1980s.
Well,
they
in
were
the 90s, they won 4 championships in 5 years.
Decades. They were the 90s.
No, look, let me give you a little
Alabama before Alabama.
Let me give you a slight history. It was the 90s. So they beat Peyton Manning in the national championship one year. The Panthers' number 1 pick in, I think it was 99 or 98, was Jason Peter, who I have like an hour and a half interview with him on the website. And this was like before this was when it was like wild, like when players were like drinking beer in the locker room type shit. You know what I mean? Like, go watch the 30 for 30 on Darryl Strawberry. And that, like, there was, before we hyper covered everything, these people really were wild. So Jason Peter was part of those Nebraska programs. And you're right. But here's the thing, Cody, is that pedigree, that story, that legacy, it exists, but it's kind of dated for attracting talent. You know, is that like that? It feels you didn't even know what decade it was. So imagine going to a kid and trying to pitch to them, go to Lincoln, Nebraska. That's where we want. No, the U is having problems recruiting people now. Come on, you know who the fuck is going to go to Lincoln, Nebraska? It's a tough spot to coach. It's like location, is that they have a high expectation, a high bar, but they're also working with nothing. They're working on reputation only. Notre Dame has way more resources than they do.
Yeah, but dude, he's already been pantsed. Like everybody
He's
knows,
gonna
but
be
dude,
done.
yeah,
He's gonna be fired in 2 years.
Yeah, and by the way, if you look at what, dude, I think Deion Sanders. I'm a big Deion Sanders fan. I think him at Colorado, dude, he is going to turn up and just shit all
50 of their players entered the portal.
Yeah, okay. It was all the players that he
40.
wanted to leave the team anyway. They weren't good players. He brought all of his players to Colorado.
That's half the team.
It wasn't.
How is he gonna fill out his
No, it
roster?
wasn't. It was 15, like 14 players.
No, it's like 40 that entered the portal.
No, it wasn't. It was 14.
Okay. I heard
And they were all.
40 entered
And by the way,
portal.
there was a video that was put out. He was like, "Oh yeah, we can get rid of 20 to 25 of you." And we'll be good.
If Deion turns around Colorado, that's like the dopest shit. Like that's ever since they got with the cheating or the whatever the scandal they got with, they haven't been good since. Right? They got crippled. But Matt Rule was part of a Baylor crippling. That's the one thing we didn't ask David Geddes. I think he was a student coach when he was going. Remember, he said he went back to college and got his degree. Yeah. He was a Baylor person. I didn't want to ask him, but I wanted to say, because that coach who fucked shit up. Remember, Matt Rule went in there, and that's the reason everybody loved him, because they lost all their scholarships or whatever. I was wondering I shouldn't, but anyway, next call.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Al calling. This guy, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, he just called CJ straight dumb. He can't come off a second read. He can't come to a second read. And then, what film were you guys watching with Bryce Young? I mean, the film I watched, it takes him about 5 seconds to get to a person. I mean, I don't know if that's because he's short, like you said, he's trying to run around in the pocket or whatever he's trying to do, find passing lanes. But damn, man, he's gonna get killed in the NFL like that, bro. He's gonna have to drop back and just stand over there and just sling the ball. But I don't know. I really don't see it with Young. And then he's talking about CJ Stroud versus Michigan. Michigan is playing a legit NFL-style defense. He's not playing this college defense that they're trying to do to stop the RPO, stop the spread. He's not playing. That's not how Michigan plays. Michigan's playing a legit NFL defense with fucking Harbaugh and whoever they fuck their defensive coach is. And so, I mean, he's struggling in one game. He's seen him what? He sees him one time a year, maybe two. So I don't know, man. I think he could probably overcome it. He got to study, of course, but to just call a man a fucking retard for the 18, that's fucking. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. And you guys better stop slandering fucking Drew Brees' name. Talking about he's not a good athlete. He's a worse athlete than than Bryce Young. This man beat Andy Roddick for the high school championship while he was in California somewhere. Some stupid shit like this. Where the fuck he grew up at?
Whoa.
Beat Andy Roddick, a fucking
in tennis,
a Wimbledon finalist. I'm not gonna say one. I don't know. But I know he won the U.S. Open at least once. But you guys got to stop trying Drew Brees like he's not an athlete. Drew Brees is a fucking amazing athlete.
Greg, first of all, thank you for your call, guy. Man, blown away. Drew Brees has been an adversary in my life for a long time. A long time. He's been and I'll bring this full circle to this first round pick too, because I was at a game that earned us our last first round pick. But are we really trying to say that Drew Brees in high school beat Andy Roddick? He was a really good tennis player.
The only reason I know
was staring down, like he was like what with Pete? No,
dude. The only reason
before. Fuck this. Is there's no way Drew Brees, and why haven't we heard this before?
Al says that's a fact. I don't know.
What?
I don't know anything about
where
that.
were Drew Brees fans at? I would have had a T-shirt that said, I slammed Andy Roddick."
The only reason
I slammed Andy Roddick.
The only reason I know Andy Roddick is because when I was growing up, I had such a big crush on Mandy Moore. She was this pop singer.
What, did she date him?
Yeah, and she dated Andy Roddick, and I used to be like, "Damn, that guy must be lucky as hell."
He was. Didn't he have like a giant serve too? Like a million.
I have no idea.
Wow.
Hey, and to be fair to the caller, I do want to say I don't think that any of us were talking trash about Drew Brees. I think I mentioned Drew Brees was an anomaly. Like I'm not saying he's not a great athlete,
totally,
but he's an anomaly. You can't use him as a
round.
baseline for your, whatever.
Yeah. That's the other thing is that we use the greatest of examples,
right?
And probably somebody I asked what the comp was on Twitter for Bryce Young, and I wasn't trying to be a douche to where like you needed to pick some ridiculous example. But I also feel like people stretched examples. But the one that resonated with me the most was Joe Montana. Is I don't think calling him Tom Brady is fair because Tom Brady is tall, this and that, and the most accomplished quarterback in the history of the world. But Joe Montana was exactly that person before Tom Brady. Right. I mean, he was the most accomplished quarterback. Joe Montana was the Tom Brady before Tom Brady. And that is never the best athlete. Marino and Elway could all sling it better, but he had the winning gene. And that's what we're trying to say here is
that's
what Bryce Young, that kind of is his comp. And maybe the floor for me is Alex Smith. What's the ceiling for it? So that's my ceiling. Joe Montana, the second best quarterback in the history of football. Bryce Young, good luck. No pressure.
I don't know, but I'm also kind of
pressure.
I'm also kind of done with the comparisons too.
Oh, stop!
I know I am.
Measuring stick.
They're all dumb.
You're a draft nerd.
Dumb.
You have to comp people.
Right, and I'm a draft nerd, and they're dumb, dude. Because at the end of the day, they're all. Like they're not a 1-for-1 comparison to any of them. Like not Russell. Fucking Bryce is way more athletic than a Drew Brees. However, he's more.
No, he's not way more athletic. He had never beat Andy Roddick in a tennis match. No,
we haven't even confirmed
that.
This.
You just said that.
Saying,
you just made that information up.
Dude, I'm just saying I would trust Bryce to win a tennis match over fucking Drew Brees.
Lies.
Much more nimble, dude. He's nimble. He's fast, dude.
God.
He's fucking got it, dude.
This is why Cody gets so much engagement on the internet because you just said something because you wanted to say it with zero.
And I'm right. No, I said
no, you're not.
Right.
That's what you just doubled down on something that has no.
Dude. No, dude, I have knowledge from the fucking Andromeda galaxy, dude. I know this type of shit, and I'm telling you, these comps, they're dumb, dude. They're dumb. They're not good comps, and it's hard to compare these guys because we haven't seen players like them before. Drew Brees did not have anywhere near the athleticism of Bryce Young coming out of college and in the NFL.
You know what? So is this comp Kyle Allen?
Oh god! You want to talk Brian Burns? Let's talk Brian Burns. Are you ready to talk Brian Burns?
I was going to ask you about this. This is the most concerning. I told you I might need to be medicated for this draft. Right, the pressure for me as I think about this podcast. I think about my life. It's so I've willingly intertwined it with Panthers. The world, right? If I brought them into my emotional DNA by committing so much of my time in life to this community. And in 10 years of doing this will be our 10th draft party, 11th season doing the podcast. In 2014, the Carolina Panthers were coming off a playoff, one of the best one of my favorite seasons in the world. The 2013 season, the Carolina Panthers went 12-4. They had a defense that had 70 sacks or 60 sacks. Greg Hardy was snorting cocaine in the locker room and getting sacks out the wazoo. Then the legal troubles of Greg Hardy came. But part of that story was Cam Newton's ankle injury that occurred late in the season that he played through. Well, it come to find out that Brian Burns had a late ankle injury this past season. Cam Newton underwent a late surgery. He initially opted for rehab and then went with had the necessity, or I guess the misfortune, of having to go under the knife in March. And they told us that the expected time of return that he would be back for training camp. Yesterday, news broke that Brian Burns, the best player on our team, the only arguable superstar on the Carolina Panthers at this moment, and clearly the best pass rusher and the best defensive player and the most important component going forward in our defense, that there are still questions with the pass rush. Yesterday, he underwent surgery later than what Cam Newton did. Now, I want to distinguish that it's not the same exact surgery, right? Is both ankle surgeries, supposedly. We hear these words ankle. With Cam Newton, it had to do with some tendons. Supposedly with Brian Burns, they think this was a hairline fracture that went undiagnosed, I guess, and then grew into a problem, who also opted for rehab. But here is where I continue. I know, like, why are we talking about Cam Newton? There's just too many overlaps that make me uncomfortable. It's eerily uncomfortable. Even the doctor who did the procedure, I think his name was Richard Andrews, not the guy that does the knees, but I was like, always, it's something Andrews. Richard Andrews did the surgery for Brian Burns. He was the team doctor in 2014 and did that same surgery for Cam. Guess what they said the proposed timeline for Cam Newton was? Training camp. He showed up at the end of training camp, and it was just, he was available for the season, but he was not at top performance, right? You could see that he was still getting stronger, still rehabbing. This is the most concerning piece of news for me, guys, for two reasons. One, on a team reason. This was the most important part of our defense. Right now, this is almost as big of news as us drafting a quarterback. And it's the quarterback of our defense on the other half. And then the sad part of this is Brian Burns is in his fifth year option. Contractually, this is a very important year for him. This is giant news right here. And I wonder if the Panthers are trying to bury it, or do you think that Panther fans recognize the gravity of this moment?
I don't know. I mean, part of me agrees with D'Angelo, like it's a fracture. So it's not.
It required surgery. It required surgery. I mean, how about that? It required surgery. Is this
a turf issue? You think this is related to the turf?
Let's not get it. No, let's not go there. I'm talking about the timeline. He's the most important defensive player, guys, and expected to be back traded. That's a short timeline, and we need him to be a star this year. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, Greg and CK, and then I'll play Frank Reich talking about Brian Burns.
I mean, I don't really have much to say. I mean, it's just injuries are so hard to tell with everybody. People heal differently. I mean, look at what's his name? Was it Adrian Peterson? I mean,
yeah,
Duke comes back.
You're using the best example of healing. That's what doctors tell you. When the team is telling us a timeline, they gave us the most optimistic timeline for Cam Newton. Now, clearly, he's the quarterback. He's the most important player. I'm just saying this is imagine being the last week of training camp and they say we're going to have to put Brian Burns on the PUP list. He'll be there in September or the week 6. He is so integral to our defensive success. That's the thing. Is like now the Carolina Panthers not only have to go and sign a free agent, they might have to go get 2. This is big news for the way you field a defense, guys.
Dude, I hate that StreamYard got rid of all of our other fucking layouts.
I know.
This is Frank Wright talking about Brian Burns.
From our standpoint, very, excited that he was able to get this done. Excited about the prognosis.
How are you excited?
Should be ready by training camp. So, it was the right thing at the right time. Get this thing squared away and get on the right, get that thing back 100%. So,
So did you? I mean, I kind of agree with you, Tony. Maybe he just.
This makes no sense.
Maybe he just had some hesitancy about not wanting to go under the knife,
or was it a misdiagnosis?
Maybe. I feel like we've had a lot of bad luck with Panthers doctors not giving the right evaluation.
I'm not going to say that you maybe he didn't make a big enough deal. I don't want to say that the medical staff is the reason this didn't happen, but this is unfortunate. And he said, "I'm excited that we got this done." No, that's the exact opposite word, Frank, that we used there.
But it's like, what's he supposed to say?
I'm excited that we got this. No, it's like I wish I know. I don't know what the right word is, but excitement is not the right word.
No, I mean, I hear you, man. I wish
it's real big news, bro. I mean, think about this: is now we're gonna have to. We needed a defensive end earlier.
Yeah.
And today, the Carolina Panthers. What were those drills? Why were they there today? Which it wasn't mini camps. It's too early for that, isn't it? Is this mini camp?
Yeah, it was off.
Or is this optional? OTAs?
Yeah, it was like this is like off-season activities. Off-season training activities.
They put a picture up of Yetur Gross-Matos and they go new positions, outside linebackers. And then I was trying to think about this. Is I'm a guy who I've been telling you guys for forever that defensive ends who are not freaks take time to develop in the NFL, right? I mean, it's year 3 and 4 that these guys. If you're not Julius Peppers, you're Charles Johnson. It's year 3 that you really come out. I don't know enough about schematics, but does YGM have a better chance to thrive in a 3-4 or a 4-3?
Well, I think he has potential to be in a 3-4. He played a lot he played some 3-4 at Penn State. But again, I hate how
just like when you look at it, do you think he can play that position in the NFL?
I mean, dude, he has no choice. How about this, Tony? He has no choice. He has not been good with his hand in the dirt as a 4-3 defensive end. So if he's ever going to do anything, now is his opportunity as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And to be honest, I don't know, man. Like, to me, this is a make it or break it year for YGM. And if not, I'm ready to label him a bust.
I'm worried our defense is not going to be good now because of the Brian Burns injury.
I think you're worrying too much. Okay. You need a Zandy bar, dude. We gotta take it.
We don't have many more calls. Let's keep going.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Al again. I was just calling in to put one more point in. So I'm going to talk about the S2 test one more time. So why would any top prospect take the S2 test if it's going to drop their stock like this, what is done to this guy?
In the future, they might not.
And I mean, like, you can pass on the combine, you can pass on this, you cannot do a pro day, not run your times, but you take a test, and now your stock drops and your money drops. Why would you even take the test anymore? It doesn't make sense. I wouldn't take the test at all. I wouldn't take no more tests. I wouldn't test for nobody. I just go talk to the coaches, and that'd be it. Look at my game film, and that's it. All right, guys. Talk about that. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Like this call.
Yeah, I agree with him completely. Especially after seeing
do it, though.
Especially after seeing how CJ Stroud. No, yes, you can.
You can't say that.
Yes, you can. If you're a top prospect and you say, I'm not taking this fucking test then it's not like they're going to be like, oh, well, what's he hiding?
Yes,
And
you
even if
will.
they-
That's exactly
even if-
what you
right,
would
but
say.
even if they did, like this is it, to me, this is going to be the same thing as a quarterback, like not choosing to throw at the combine. Like
No, it's not the same.
It's going to be the same thing to me. And
Well, the difference-
I honestly, if CJ Stroud does ball out, people are going to be calling into legitimacy the S2 test anyway.
Well, no, he did not say. He said they were going to allow. He retook it. Did you hear what he said? The guy
I
said.
did.
The owner said he was
watched
like
it.
he was on the way to the All-Star game. I'm not going to tell you who he was. He got there late. He hadn't eaten. He was tired. He made a ton of excuses. Well, you know what is that? If I'm Stroud's camp right there, I say we're not taking this at this moment. You can't. This is the one thing you can't turn down individually. You can't turn down the S2 test and you say this, I'm going to do the other shit, but I'm not going to do the S2 test. If you want to not,
or what?
If you don't want to take, how about this? Is that that's it? You're not going to be drafted number one.
But
sorry, if you're a quarterback, and you can't pass a smartness test, I'm sorry.
But okay,
no. Here's the thing. Let me finish my point. Let me finish this. I'll give you a mic. Is that you can? The only way you can skip that test, the cognitive, if you don't want to take it, is to just say, "I'm not doing any of these things. I'm not doing the pro day.
Right.
I'm not doing this. Just watch my tape. I'm not interviewing. You want me? Draft me. If you think I'm that badass, but you cannot." That's the one test you don't get to pick and choose. That's the one buffet. You don't get to just go up to the buffet and your parents let you get ice cream at the end. This and that is like, you got to get a protein, baby.
How about this?
And that's the one. You can't skip that one.
How about this? If Caleb Williams next year, everybody's saying him and Drake May are these two blue chip quarterback prospects. If Drake, let's say Caleb Williams balls out, and Drake May balls out, and they're both these 1 and 2 prospects, and Caleb Williams decides, nah, I'm not going to take it. Dude, the NFL is not going to be less on Caleb Williams as a prospect. And
yes,
by the
will.
way, but
yes,
also, Tony, you don't think that these players that are coming out in the future are going to look at what's happening to CJ Stroud and say, yeah, I think I'll pass.
What
on
if you
this
refuse
shit.
to do interviews?
It's not the
what
same
about
thing.
that?
And
What if you just said this? Is I'll take the S2? No. What if you said I'll take the S2 test? I'll do the combine. I'll do the pro day. But they said, all right, we want to personally interview and take you to dinner. And you said no. I've showed you what. Because how much has our coaching staff?
Dude,
no, they have told us that the fit and that is so important.
Dude,
you don't
having a meeting with your future employer is so much more important than your score on this arbitrary S2
It's not the
test.
score, it's the willingness to take the test.
No, because
the score is that if you say no to it, it's like saying no to an interview. It's not the same as saying no. The pro day and the combine, we say this is injury related. That's why we tell people not to do them. You can only bring your stock down by not going to a meeting, by saying you wouldn't meet with a team or you wouldn't take some sort of intellectual test, is only going to bring your stock down.
Right. I think that you have to agree with that, because when you do have a quarterback who doesn't throw at the pro day, there is still somewhat of a negative connotation that comes along with that.
Slightly,
right? Yeah. But at the same time, you also have the ability to see them at their pro day, if they don't do it at the combine, that you have the ability to go to their pro day, you get to see
or just watch their tape.
Right. You're having environments in which you can do those things. So I'm not of the mind that is such an impact. However, to say that the S2, so the reason that I think that's more important is because you can scheme and you can have an incredible offense and make the best, make these guys look incredible, right? In college. But if that S2 test gives them any idea about what you're capable of doing, if there's a real connection and they can point to what the connection is and say, hey, listen, this is why this is an important test. I think it's worth these candidates going and taking that. And I don't think that anybody would be willing to turn that down, because I think CJ Stroud probably felt like he was good enough to pass that or to ace it, right? So why wouldn't you?
Oh, no, you don't. Right, all right, Greg, I want you to make a poll, and you don't have to you can ask your question before you do it, but there's 4 moments in the draft process that are measurable that we're talking about. So I want the poll to be like this: is that if you're a prospect and you refused one of the following, which would be the most concerning? I'm prospect A, who turned down meetings with the teams. I said, I won't meet with the teams. I don't want to interview with them. Cody
That's so much worse.
No, Cody turns down the S2 test.
I'm going to rely on my film and my interviews.
CK turns down the pro day. And Greg turns down the combine, which raises the most flags. And I think I'm going to be the most sus in this fucking podcast in this poll, and Cody's going to be number 2.
So I'm going to ask which is the worst turn down.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, how do you guys think we should phrase the poll?
No. We should simplify it. Just do, is it going to hurt future quarterbacks who choose to not take the S2 test?
Oh, so you're just not going to get an option?
No, that's not my point. No, he's changing the whole dynamic. See, there's no way the
S2 test is more important to an NFL team than the actual meeting and interviews that they do in their own buildings.
Not the point, but it's more important than the combine.
It is the point.
It's more important than
it. Which hurts the player worse to turn down? Team meetings, S2, pro day, or combine? Does that sound right?
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's exactly right. Because Cody was trying to change the entire nature of the question because he thinks that one can live in isolation. It can't.
It is. If you turn down meetings, then you're really trying to hide
something. That's my point. Turning down the S2 test is trying to hide something more than turning down the pro day.
If I go and do an interview with the team, I can show them what I know on the board. I can have them show me different coverages. I can tell them what I did, what I saw on this thing. Whereas this test, it's not about football at all. It came from baseball. Baseball teams.
It's not about baseball at all. It's about speed and recognition.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's not
Which is it's the fastest fucking sport in the world, bro. Speed and recognition turn out to be
on my side. I feel it.
Killing me. I am on your side. CK, you're really good at Call of Duty, right?
Sure.
Okay. Do you think those skills in the video game where you're sitting down playing would apply to real life situation in the exact same position?
No.
Okay. That's my point. If you're going to give somebody a test, I'm going
to argue with something on that.
Okay.
There is a correlation. They did a study, and this is a study from a long time ago, so I can't quote you on the exact numbers. But there is a study that said that kids who played video games were better at reacting and making decisions that were positive outcomes than people who didn't do that. So
it's not the video games. It's the speed of decision making that CK has been nourishing, right? So CK can jump out a window and blast somebody with a scope by the time I look and find the window. And I know some of that is just playing it over and over, but a lot of that is real, an asset that he has. You know what I'm saying? Like he's quick twitch. It's quick twitch of the brain.
You're right. There is a correlation.
Causation.
Exactly. There is a correlation between.
It's not correlate.
It is. But however, look, I'm just telling you, man. Like you cannot tell me that somebody sitting down, looking at something, recognizing it left and right, means that if they go on a field and they have to physically take everything in, the moment, the rush, the adrenaline, and actually physically do it, that they're going to be the exact same.
But if you can't recognize it under a place where you're not getting your head blown up,
some people don't
imagine you're trying to say then, they could do it on the field, but they can't do it in a place where bombs aren't going off. They're going to be trying to do those same things on the field, Greg. If they can't do it on a board, how are they going to do it on the field? And unless it's just improvisation alone, but the whole test is trying to examine, and I don't care about the test. It's just the whole point is that you're just trying to somehow find some statistical way of measuring people's intelligence for the moment.
Let's ask a real question. Do you believe that him scoring low is a negative or a positive for his abilities in the NFL?
Negative.
I've seen his abilities.
You've got to tell me, do you believe him passing that test or failing that test? Does it help him or hurt him for your confidence in his ability to play in the NFL?
Yeah, it hurt, but we're saying they over.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a bad stain on your resume. You can't put it as a reference.
Well, it's because I'm not
saying. Like, don't call my S2 score. I'm trying to get this job. Don't call my previous employer S2.
What I'm saying is I'm not going to ignore the S2 score because I'm not going to ignore the negative things that he has about him, but it's not going to be a make or break thing for me. I don't feel like the S2 score weighs that much.
I think the more perplexing part is how wildly low it was.
It was low. That was such a.
That's the whole thing. It's one thing. Look, think about how much is riding on this moment for him.
I want to take this test so bad now. Like I want to know how hard it is. Like I want to take this bitch.
We're beyond an era. We're beyond an era, ERA, where sports stars underestimate the moment. They have too many people coaching them who know how important these moments are. This is not the days of the 90s where people would go out and party in the night before and then go to interviews with the teams. This is not the days of that. These are the most. Bryce Young has had a quarterback coach since he was in 4th grade, right? So there's no way that CJ Stroud made $800,000 last year, has one of the best agents in the league, and they didn't tell him that this test was important. And I don't think he knew how important. For me, the weird part about it is how could it actually be this low? Like now I just am like questioning the validity of anything. It's like a perplexing. It's like one of those numbers statistically. It's like an anomaly number. But then that raises so many fucking questions. The last time I heard a number like this that was wildly off, was a guy that I wanted the Panthers to draft instead of Luke Kuechly. In 2012, Joe Riolato and we didn't have no corner. We hadn't have no secondary, man. We need a corner. And Maurice Claiborne was supposed to be the next fucking best thing. And this motherfucker had the worst score in the history of the world on the Wonderlic. It was like a 4. Like he wrote his name on the shit and then just walked out. That's the last time I remember a score that was as perplexing as CJ Stroud's.
It doesn't match up to what I see CJ doing on film.
Right. It's weird.
And Greg made a good point that you should consider the S2 test. And it's not like you should say that it has no value at all whatsoever. But I'm also not going to overemphasize this thing either.
But it's number one pick, bro.
Maybe there are some things that it tells you, but it certainly doesn't tell you the whole picture. By the way, what happened to the Wonderlic? There were a bunch of successful quarterbacks that bombed the Wonderlic test that went on to be
I would
good
say
in the
bombed
NFL.
it. No, not bombed.
Ben
Not to this
Roethlisberger
level.
didn't do
Don't
shit
say
on
bomb. I'm not saying that you have
And what's the
to have the
difference between
highest
the two of
score.
them?
Imagine this. Imagine if somebody came on to they became a caller on the show. They became part of our family. We ingratiated them into the podcast. They were a grade A personality, grade A takes, talking to us on social media. But they had one character red flag in the background that was so opposite to all of their other qualities. Does that at some point, maybe are you being charmed the wrong way? To me, I'm not saying that. I'm wondering if this is that I need a retake. That's what I just need. I need CJ Stroud to retake the test and just score 60. I don't need him to be the smartest dude, but 18 is like it's so weird of a number. I don't know how to deal with it.
It's weird. I'm just saying I don't put too much stock in it. Hey,
You
I'll
have
say this.
to. It's the number one goddamn pick in the NFL.
I don't put that much stock in it. I just don't. I'm sorry. I
Well,
don't.
then you shouldn't put you shouldn't put that much stock in an interview. Then it's a moment.
If
There's
we're
only
not talking about football, then I'm not going to overemphasize it over the film, and you shouldn't. Like there was an
my
article
homeboy said
saying
Chris
that, like,
Campbell had the lowest score in his draft class of the Wonderlic. He was great for the Panthers. He wasn't the fucking quarterback.
all right, but they said that it matters
And he
for
wasn't the greatest
safety and
corner in the history of the
linebacker.
world.
No, you're trying to have it two different ways. Either it
He was great.
matters
He
or
was
it
good.
doesn't.
He was very good. He was very
Quarterback
good.
is not the only
Okay.
position that you have to
All right.
process fast.
All
You
right.
have to do it at linebacker, corner, safety, a bunch of different positions. If
So
it
you're saying
matters for
I'm the
one, it should
only
matter for them
person-
all.
Okay. It does not matter that you took a test. I don't want you to score super smart. He scored in the concern score.
But
that's what it is. It's like, do you need extra time on the test?
That's what
Do you
leads me to
need-
believe that it was some bullshit, though. That the numbers fugazi. The
Well, then
number
let's see the second number.
We're not getting. But that's what I'm saying. They're not. They
Does
don't
he make
publicly
it past?
release
Does he make it past Atlanta?
No.
We're gonna learn.
Yeah,
I
Gonna
sure
learn.
fucking
I agree.
hope
Good
not.
Lord. All right, let's go to the next call. There's only two. This one more.
C3, what it do, my boys and girls? It's your boy Mike. Sorry, it's been a while. Hold on.
Supreme
Yo, what's good?
What up, buddy?
Professor Cody, never caught lacking lack.
Hey,
Red, Stat Daddy, the Bad Daddy, the Mad Daddy, the Cat Daddy.
Yeah.
Coke Dizzle.
What
I'm
up?
Nizzle for Shizzle. What's good, my boys? There's nothing to say at this point. You know, I'm back. Just to say hi. I mean, you know, told you I was gonna binge watch a bunch of anime and, you know, just hang back and wait for this day because, you know, after we select whoever, sure we probably have a good idea who we're getting, but after we select whoever, you know, we still got 4 fucking months to go.
Yeah, we do.
Roughly. Until, you know, we get to see what's popping in the Panther streets. So just I'm happy we're almost there to draft night. I'll be watching at home. Hope everyone is doing good, and I hope we can all just come together finally after all this, because I've been seeing a lot going down in these streets, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
All right.
Need more love, less hate. Okay? Let's go, boys. Keep pounding.
I want to ask.
pounding, Mike.
I'm going to start with Cody on this because he's feeling it, and then I'll pass it around to you guys. He says that the S2 shouldn't be the determinant, right? No, right? Like it's fine. Blah, 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 blah. What if we said this? No. What if we went bowling with Bryce Young, and all we've been told is he's got this intangible gene, right? Like he's been like that's his quality, and so we go bowling with him, and none of us are great at bowling. I'm not. I mean, I like to bowl. I don't ever do it. Fun. I bowled
Actually bowled a
over.
league.
All right. So yeah, but like, what if you said this? It actually, for me, I really suck when the pressure's on in bowling. Like I have to get the sweet spot. This same with golf. I hate golf, but like my best holes of golf are at like holes 8, 9, 10, 11. Like, cause I got just enough of a buzz to kill my nerves. and then the back end too much of a buzz to keep it together. The pressure is a lot in bowling for me. So I'm like a good bowler when it doesn't matter. And then it's like, oh, all we need you to do is pick up this spare.
What does this have to do with Bryce?
Here's the thing. You told me, oh, it's just a test. It's just a test. What if we went bowling and Bryce Young completely folded under all pressure in bowling? He was just the worst fucking bowler in the world.
Like what? In
The
that
worst. So here is my point to
you.
you. Let me finish the point. Is I'm not saying we should not draft him because he's a terrible bowler, but is there not a red flag that comes up and just says this is a beer league and you just crumpled and you couldn't even deliver one moment? You're so bad. You're not even. I don't need you to be a 200 bowler. I don't need you to be a 180 bowler. I don't even need you to bowl a 125. But Bryce Young, you just bowled a 7.
Tony, I'm gonna flip it on you.
That's what CJ Stroud did. He bowled a 7.
No, Tony, let me flip it on you. What do you think that tells you?
That I'm uncomfortable hanging out with them. If you bowl a 7 or what, Greg? What is the league? What would be? Would it be 38? It would be like a 38, wouldn't it? Would be like, God, I was just trying to bring you out here to be your friend, and you really were so bad. You're not going to come back out here anymore.
My point even more. If
that was CJ Stroud's score on his test.
It's a beer league. And it's just a bunch of buddies fucking around bowling.
Worse.
Then it's
like worse. He bowled a 35 and he's in the NFL.
There's literally nothing that tells you about his ability to play the game of football.
Disagree.
Nothing at all.
I don't, like Greg said, I don't feel comfortable with being able to beat up my quarterback. How about this, Greg? Imagine if he bowled a 35 and you beat him up at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
And that was your quarterback. That might be. I don't know how you are trying to say that the test doesn't matter.
For everything, I could be like, oh, what if he never wins a game of Call of Duty? Or, oh, what if he.
I don't need him to be the best Call of Duty, but imagine if he was the worst at anything. You're pitching him and his mental processing and his ability as the savior.
In football.
And imagine if you just got with him and he was like the worst I'm not saying he needs to be the best, but the absolute worst. CJ Stroud was the absolute worst on the S2 test in like the history of the S2 test.
Dude,
I don't need Bryce Young to be the best bowler, but I need him to bowl 88.
How about this?
I need him to bowl 88, Greg. If he bowls under that, I'm going to be like, you know what? I can beat you up in this bowling alley.
If CJ Stroud ends up balling out this year,
I don't know how he does.
You have to say that S2 test doesn't mean as much as you think it does.
I don't think it means. Just saying the test score is so low.
You think it means something?
No,
obviously.
I think it's an outlier. I need another score. I feel like it's an outlier. It's like saying this: if we did the vaccine information with everything, whatever, and you have these certain results that are just, don't they write half of those off as like bad data? Or not half of them, but isn't there some data that's bad? His score is so low. I need somebody who administers the test, him to take it again and to show it's not the worst score in the history of the world.
You saw the clip of the dude talking on the PFF podcast.
Well, I want to hear the new score. It needs to be a 42.
Right, but they don't have to release those scores. The NFL teams, if they have the better score, the NFL teams know what that better score is.
If you had a better score, Cody, if you scored the worst score in the history of a test, say somebody said, I'll give you a free test. And you're like, oh, it's like, hey, we'll give you a free pizza. Just take this test, free pizza. All you got to do is take the test. And you scored the worst score in the history of mankind. And they said, would you like to take another test? And you said, yeah, we'll give you another. Like, would you not, if you scored a little bit higher, would you not tell people that you scored? What would your score have to be? It must have been a 19 for you to not tell anybody. If he took it a second time, he needs to come out and say 18 is an outlier, bro. It's a fucking weird number.
It's a weird
bizarre.
Number. I don't
Bizarre.
believe it. I believe it's
All right.
fugazi, bro. It's fugazi.
All right, last call.
All right, play last call and then we'll play our news.
Hey guys, it's me, the growl that makes somehow, aka Joey the Blind Panther.
What up, Joey?
With a little extra bass in my voice because I caught a cold from some fucking where.
Me too.
I'm getting over it now, thank God. But still, yeah, dude. Looks like it's gonna be Bryce Young. It looks like I'm gonna stay home for draft day. I really wanted to go downtown, but I don't know, man. The more I feel like I need to stay home because, you know, if something stupid happens, I don't want to be at the stadium because I'm liable to make, let's just say, not so flattering comments about David Tepper that may get me kicked out of the stadium. And no one wants that. So,
no.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Bryce, baby. Heard he's real good under pressure. Super fucking nerdy, I know. But before I go, since I really can't roar today because my voice is, like my throat is shot.
Yeah, you sound under the weather.
So there's these two guys, and I'm going to tell you this joke. It's a blind joke. There are these two guys, and they're sitting at the table with each other, and the one guy says, "Dude, you look a bit worried. Why are you worried?" And the guy says, "Well, I loaned $5,000 to a blind man, and he said he'd pay me next time he saw me."
Oh, poor Joey. I enjoyed it.
I love Joey leaning into one of my favorite moments on this podcast is when he said I went and played basketball with some of my blind friends.
And
then my entire mind went into like, how do blind people play basketball? I was so enraptured with this. I was telling my wife about this recently. And
Did
then
they have
that guy,
a beeper on the hoop or something?
right? Like I still went, and I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm like really curious, but at the same time, remember that guy called up and he was like, "I can't believe this guy. He went and played basketball. Of course, he played with some black people. Why has it got to be black people?" And it was like he said, "Blind people, not black people." And then somebody in the chat called him Joey the Black
Panther.
Wakanda forever. It's like one of my favorite moments in the history of this.
I think I think I wasn't on the pod that night.
No, yes, you were. We were there.
No, I
It was
wasn't.
so
I remember because
awesome.
I remember y'all telling me about it.
God, it was the
I think I might have
best
been sick or
moment.
something. I don't know.
He said, I went and played basketball with some of my blind friends, and my mind goes into what the hell? Like, I mean, like, not what the hell, but like how? I'm trying to envision how this actually works.
Yeah.
And this other guy heard black.
Well, half of the chat room heard
a completely different.
But half of the chat room heard black or some shit like that.
Okay, still. And then the comment, though. He said, Joey the Black Panther, Wakanda forever. One of the greatest comments in the history of the C3 Panthers podcast. Good news. Hit us with a bumper.
Yeah, we only have two more. We only got two more things left to do.
Oh, and it's only 12:19.
We got some news and some ice ups. Lead news: Aaron Rodgers is now officially a New York Jet. Now we can finally stop talking about this. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, pick number 15, and the 2023 fifth round pick. The Packers get pick number 13, so it's a swap. A 2023 second round pick, a sixth round pick, number 207, and a conditional 2024 second round pick that becomes a first round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays.
Well, all right. So that's automatically.
Yeah.
of 2024. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
automatically.
next year. If he plays the
If
season,
he's successful this year, he's playing next year.
Yeah, they're
If
gonna
he's
get a
terrible
first-round
this year, he's playing next year because he got to try to prove he's not terrible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So let's take out that conditional. So they swapped first, right? Now read it the same exact, but don't read the second round pick that if it becomes. Let's just say what the real deal is.
Yeah, 2023 second round pick and a 6th round pick.
And then next year's first.
Yeah, next year's first round pick.
Are we tired of Aaron Rodgers?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we rooting for him? If he wins the New York audience, he might be the biggest D in the history. Like, imagine that.
It's going to be another Brett Favre. Brett Favre didn't really.
He took them to the playoffs. Do you know that the New York Jets have not had a Sunday night football game in a decade?
Damn.
That's how bad they've been, bro.
Yeah. Sucks to be them, dude.
That's
We're
crazy.
on the up and up.
Oh, I did have one question about this.
Mm.
Do you think that the drawn out escapade of Aaron Rodgers, did it negatively affect any of these teams in free agency, this or that? Or did they do this to themselves? You know, because like the whole thing is some people said this was going to be a draft day trade where they're going to announce and maybe they get some other buyers involved or something. But this has been something that we all knew was going to happen. Was truly, it's like it's a foregone conclusion. But did this interrupt their natural off season because you don't know the complete details of the matter?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't think it was bad. Yeah, I agree with you.
I think it would have been weirder if they didn't get this done before the draft. Everybody knew what was going to happen. He was only going to go to one team or else he was going to retire. That's the team that he's going to.
I'm just wondering if Green Bay could have done better in their offseason had they had gotten this done a little bit earlier. Could the Jets have maybe finesse? You know what I'm saying? Is the delay problematic? Is it not that big of a deal? Interesting. Aaron Rodgers he's one of those guys that like he's so present now. It's almost like Elon Musk. Is the more present you are, the more opportunity you give me to not like you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think he'll probably be pretty good in New York.
Right.
But
What's next?
We'll see, man. Next up, Joe Burrow. This is from the Cincinnati Bengals. They have exercised his 5th-year option for the 2024 season. It's just a mechanical step along the way. We will continue to work with Joe and his representatives to secure his long-term future as a Bengal. Yeah, I think either him or Herbert are going to sign the biggest contract maybe ever.
Well, I mean, Hurts just did it. Every quarterback, every
quarterback
is going to be the next biggest.
Herbert doesn't deserve to be the biggest big quarterback, though.
I think I would feel more comfortable giving it to Burrow.
Yeah, I would say Burrow's deserving of it. But
I mean, Herbert I'm not upset about giving it to Herbert. What I'm saying is one is more on the future. One is more on what they've done.
Yeah.
I'd be a little upset giving it to Herbert. Like I said, I just don't feel like he's done enough to deserve it.
I think Burrow should get more. Next.
By the way, the poll results, everybody said that the meetings would be the worst to turn down. It's like 65%.
I understand that, but nobody said pro day. Oh, this is weird.
No, I mean, I just put this in for shits and giggles. Kenny Pickett says he slept with a splint on his hands to make them bigger.
Or after?
I don't know, man.
What if he was doing it now and he's like, actually, this does feel really big in my hand. Wow.
That's funny. I don't know, man.
He's got a weird shaped thumb. Look at his thumb. It's already giving us he's got a double jointed thumb. Look, he's giving us a thumbs up. He's not trying to give us a thumbs up.
Yeah,
I have a friend and she can do her thumb like this and it almost touches her wrist. And you're like, geez. And she's not trying. She just holds your thumb up. Look at his fingers. They're all fucked up.
But it's the opposite. They're moving in a completely different direction.
All right. That's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. That is it.
It's only 12:24. This is the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. And when I say the longest running Panthers podcast, we start at 9 p.m. and sometimes we go to 12:25. Sometimes, hell, we even go to 1 a.m. On Thursday night, we've got the 10th draft party that's going to rock and roll for as many hours as needed. You can see Cody sipping his little hiney over there. You might see Tony take a nap in the sidelines. Who knows? Who knows? I'm pretty sure you'll see some cool graphic that Greg has made for the podcast where he donates his time just do it. Even, and he'll send us stuff. It's wonderful. He made this. In fact, you know what? One thing that Greg made? The Ice Up intro.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith, the longest running Panthers podcast, the longest running segment on the Panthers podcast, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Everyone is fair game. Anything you want in life. This is the one moment we really allow stepping outside the realm of football, even though we always dip our toes in different things. This is where it's all fair game. Somebody's got a good one. Please give me a good one. I don't got a great one tonight. I'm not as super prepared.
I have one. I had it saved. Hang on. I got to find the shit. I had it saved. Shit, give me a minute. Someone go
all
first.
Right, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on,
gosh,
you guys. What happened in your life?
Prepared this week. Let me.
Oh my gosh!
I have a bank.
Not prepared. We're so unprepared.
Yeah, I have a bank on my Twitter feed here that I have stuff that I just got to pull it up. Hang on one second.
I'm gonna be so mad if I didn't fucking save this.
What am I mad about in life? I gotta figure out something.
That's a good question.
That I am upset about in life.
Shit, dude.
All right, I'll get my. All right, I got an ice up pick for you guys. Here's my ice up pick. It's personal. I'm gonna ice up myself, and when I say that, I really mean my wife. Because if I said I ice up my wife, then that would be throwing a little stone. I'm icing her up. So, my wife is very organized. She is the opposite of me in so many ways, which is good. Yin and yang, so many ways. So she's very list oriented. She'll be like, oh, we got to do this, this, and this. Go to the grocery store, get this, this, and this. She's one of those people that orders on like the grocery store pickup, right? It's like, it's easy. She would rather spend the time on the internet putting her groceries in, which is very planny too in me. Like you have to know exactly so much of what you want. You have to know what's on sale. I'm a sales shopper. I plan my dinners. I'm a cook too. You know, so like I go to the protein first. I see what's on sale. Then I go here. Like I have these different strategies that I work. I've been saying for like the last 12 months doing the shop, like a lot of grocery shopping for our family. Shit is really expensive. Like it's not like inflation's a little bit. It's a lot. It's a lot. Like it's not like, oh, our grocery bill went up 30%. It's over doubled in the past year, right? For the same products. So here's my ice up. I've been saying this for like a year. And my wife went on and she was like, I'm going to buy all the groceries, you know, on the online shit. And it was so planny, this and that. And she goes, holy shit, this is so expensive. I was like, I've been fucking telling you this for a year. It is insane. When we talk about food costs for the average American, they haven't just gone up 30, 40%. They've gone up more than 200% or maybe 100%, at least easy 100%. So if you spent $500, that's a really rapid inflation. If you spent $500 a week, and this is where the thing is, it's okay on big ticket items because we finance them, right? Like, so a house, a car, so they go up and we just bake it into some sort of loan. The everyday cost of existence, when they go up by 100%, 200%, fuck gas prices going up that much. Your cereal. My kid said this, buy me some cereal. And I was like, my kid, I got 3 kids. right? They eat cereal like it's fucking, I mean, it's incredible. So I bring home the Food Lion brand of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. My daughter goes, "Is this the one we don't like?" I said, "Guess what? The other one was $5 for a box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying $5 for you guys to eat it in 5 minutes. It's different. Going from $2.50 to $5 would be like your car going from 30,000 to 60,000. The inflation now, and my wife, she goes, "Huh, so expensive." I was like, that's exactly right. And I did that by accident. That's my ice up pick.
All right.
All right. You want to go, Greg?
Yeah, I can knock mine out real quick. I thought of two. One I can just say, the other one I got a video for. So just real quick, this popped in my mind yesterday. You're talking about expenses. My daughter's just starting to drive. So we're riding the car with her, training her, everything. I've got her vehicle, and she's never actually put gas in the car. So I was teaching her how to do it the other day. And, I put gas in her car. It's no problem. So I put $10 in her tank. And she was like, "Well, why'd you only put $10 in?" I was like, "Well, I did it for a reason." So I put $10 in her tank. We drove to my sister's new house to see her new house, which is about 10 miles away from me. This is a Jeep my daughter has, about 10 miles away. Then we drove back into town about another 10 miles and about another 10 miles back to my house. By the time we pulled back in the driveway, the gas light was on. And my daughter couldn't believe it. And I told her, I was like, "Yep, you're about to start driving. Just so you know, that's what $10 got you right there." It was right around for just a little bit, and I had to teach her. So I'm kind of icing her up for that because I guess she, like any kid, you go into it thinking it's going to be different. But shoot, when I was a kid, it was $1.10 a tank, so it was way different. But it taught her a lesson real quick about the gas, because my wife asked why I put $10 in too, and that was the exact reason why, was to show her how far that would go. So, and she asked me how much it costs to fill up my truck, and it's $140 to fill up my truck. So, trying to teach her about money, she goes. So I had to kind of ice her up that one a little bit, but she's a kid, she's learning, and I thought it was a good lesson learned for her. And then the other one, let's see, I'll just share this real quick. I got to get all these screens gone. Where are you guys at? Nope, you're not right here. Nope, you're not right here. Well, Cody, you want to go ahead and go while I find where you guys are at, so that way I can share this?
Yeah. Are y'all ready to shit yourselves?
Oh, God.
Because this is you're not ready, dude. You're not ready. I'll just say it like this. Don't fuck with an alligator, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, what's the end game here?
Yeah, dude.
Don't do that. Those things snap back so quick.
Kick.
Like, you
Go
big
help him.
dumbass, bro. What did
I
you
think he got out of that actually
He's
pretty
lucky.
clean.
Yeah,
he's
dude.
very
He
lucky.
had his
Very
arm snapped off. Like,
Yeah.
at what point, like, dude, did you actually think? I mean, come on, old timer. You thought you were gonna put something over his eyes and subdue an alligator? Are you absolutely dense? Dude, he is lucky to be alive right now.
Well, I don't even think it's just draping the cloth over it. I think it's that he's like 68 already. He's not
he's already had a
nimble.
chance.
What's the next step?
Yeah, there
It's
is
not
no
that the
next
cloth over the eyes is a bad step.
Dumbest
But he
shit
had
in the world.
no other. What was he going to do after that?
Right.
Think about this. Like
Right.
in the best case scenario, what would he have done? Hold it for his wife to what? Back the truck up?
Yeah,
Wrap
so
his
stupid, dude.
mouth in a belt or something is all you really could do, I guess.
No, he didn't have a belt ready. He had nothing. It was
Yeah.
just his go-to. What was he doing?
Yeah.
Dude, he was,
No idea.
dude.
Being
Yeah.
a
So
fool.
to old dudes in Florida who have too much time on their hands and not enough real life experience, ice up, son. That's it for me.
I'll show
See,
mine real
Kick?
quick.
Yep, Greg.
Well, yeah, real quick. This is not even an ice up. This is just a funny video. My wife was talking. Y'all know those Zorb things, the big balls you can get in. Has anybody ever done that?
No.
Because like I want to do that. My wife's talking about doing that, and then as soon as I She said that I found this online, which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is what I was about to pull up, Greg. I
That's
literally
crazy, ain't
said
it?
this. All right, go one more time.
Hit the full screen, Greg.
This might be, if this is real, this is the coolest, most ridiculous shit I've ever seen in my life.
There may be a dummy or something in there. There has to be.
Yeah, I think it's a dummy.
Okay.
I don't think.
Well,
I
you
don't
know
think
what
thing
is
flies
that
with
they should have
weight.
really mustered up and put a person in there.
If you're a person in there, holy shit! What
There's
if that
no-
tree wasn't there? If you're a person in there, what if that tree wasn't
What
there?
This
Well, I
is
saw that
No
as-
way there
Yeah.
was a real person in there,
Yeah.
dude.
That would be the coolest thing. Imagine you called the police, the fire department up. You're like, you know how you heard about a cat stuck in a tree? Well, we got a guy in a giant bubble ball stuck up in a
stuck in a
tree.
tree.
And what if he fell? And what if he died in the fall?
I mean,
That
shit,
would've
if there was a
been,
person there, imagine if he went in that tree and one of those.
That's when I love the
branches
internet.
came
Horrible
I showed
or
my in-laws
hilarious?
I saw that video too, Greg. It was wonderful. Thank you. Ice up
Them?
for making
I
me
don't
think
know,
everything's fake.
Yeah.
CK.
I don't have one.
Oh, lies. All right.
CK never has a
All right.
nice pick.
Shame them. Shame them right now at the end.
Got a good
Sure,
life.
Okay. All right. Let him go. He's got to go. Go. You don't have to stay. You don't have to stay to make us.
No. My son just woke up with like stomach issues, and my wife is not feeling good.
Right.
So I'm gonna go to Walmart.
Right.
Real
Yeah,
quick.
she's having a baby tomorrow. Go. CK,
Have
the
a
voice
baby.
that makes a voice.
How about this? We're all about to go.
I
We're
know,
all
but
about
he
to get
doesn't
outta
need
here.
to feel obligated to come in for these segments. That's all I'm saying. Is that if you got go, CK, we love you. We hope your child is healthy. We hope
Keep
your
us
wife
posted,
makes
brother.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, for
Go.
sure, man. I'll keep you guys up to date, and if you guys want to follow up, and I'll make everybody aware when the time happens with a hopefully a well-timed photo or something along those lines. But I appreciate you guys. You guys have a fantastic evening, and I will hopefully see you Thursday night.
Ice up to
Keep
CK
pounding.
for feeling like he needed to even stay that long. Thank you. Best of luck to everybody. The C3 Panthers podcast rocks on Thursday night. The live draft party's happening 7 p.m. We're going to rock and roll. It'll be our 10th party where we live watch. We've been live watching the draft before. Live watches, watch-alongs, I think they call them. We're a thing. And they're a thing on the internet. And we are a thing on the internet. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Check us out on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, wherever you go. Sub ups, Cody Lack, the draft guru. You might be able to take a breath in a couple of weeks. And next week, 2 weeks from
Hopefully.
now. Yep.
I'll try. Find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC, drafttech.com, Panthers analyst. Monday at 10:30 with Desmond and Monty for Embrace Debate, Carolina Panthers. Every Friday at 7 for the Friday free for all. I'm out here, boy. All I do is this. You know what I'm saying? So
You do. You actually are now the most streaming motherfucker on the street. Like Cody be like this. You want to play a pickup game of stream? I'm in.
dude.
You like a basketball pickup? Pick him
Hey,
up.
what Panther podcaster is live more than me?
It's a lot.
Fucking
It's
no.
hard to find somebody that is more available than you. Greg, the world of pop culture. Give us something good to talk about.
Well, if you are behind on it, the finale of Picard and Mandalorian were last week, and they were both pretty darn good. So I would definitely recommend checking those out. But
I'm
yeah,
on this show right now, The Diplomat, and it's a Netflix show, but it's because I'm in love with Carrie Russell. I think that's her name. She was in Felicity, which I didn't watch, but she was the girl in she was the wife in The Americans.
Okay.
I don't know if the show's good or I just love her.
Nothing wrong with that. Having favorite actors.
Where can we find out? What are you guys talking about? I feel like you're going to be talking about boobs on Friday night.
We are talking about boobs on Friday night, and that sounds kind of weird, but I do. We have creators come on a couple times a month. Like last week, we had Zach Howard. If you're a comic book fan, you probably know that name. He's done Nickelodeon, DC, Marvel, IDW, Image, all that good stuff. Really cool guest. But this week, I got a character or a couple coming on, a husband and wife that have a comic book called Boobs. So
Are they? You need to find out if they're swingers or if he's a cuck.
Well, I guess if I see an upside down pineapple in the background, I'll know, right?
That's the swinger part.
That's
but
the
if
symbol,
you're a
right?
couple and you draw,
But you can check me out Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Geek Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. Also check out 5 on 5 podcast, same channel on the Geek Chasing Squirrels. We're covering NBA playoffs. So we'll do a show tomorrow. Normally that's on Thursdays, but this week we got something special on Thursdays. So
that's it.
Thursday, guys, 7 o'clock. We're going to be a host of guests are going to be coming in. We're going to have a revolving door of people. But Cody, I think this year we have you have built enough street cred for us to ultimately, I feel like the Friday Free for All Club is going to sort of overrun the draft party. And what I mean by that is we've always kind of made, this is why I didn't over plan for this draft, is because in the past we were trying to make sure we had the personalities coming in. You've developed the cult.
Yeah.
I feel like this, we put the link up there. We can't kick people off fast enough.
Oh, they'll be out in abundance, dude. Especially if it isn't Bryce. Oh God!
Oh, it's gonna be Bryce. It don't matter. But you're gonna have there's gonna be a group of people. We don't even need to get guests. We got guests.
Yeah.
The number is 252-228-5098. We want you to be a part of Thursday night's 10th draft party. It's gonna be fun, guys. And it'll be here before you know it. Cody, take us out of here, my man.
C3 Panther Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.
Doctors take Field of Greens for their own health. Here's Dr. Ryan Green to explain.
We're like you, too much fast food and not enough exercise. That's why I take Field of Greens. The fruits and vegetables in Field of Greens support my heart, lungs, kidneys, and metabolism for weight loss. And Field of Greens promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back.
Get 15% off with promo code HEALTH at fieldofgreens.com. That's promo code HEALTH at fieldofgreens.com. Product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.